welcome to the Jonesin on the Whim NFC North preview, which is also our top 11 for the 12th installment of our weekly podcast. And NFC North, it's named greatly, the North part.
Not like the NFC.
The NFC North.
No.
Is that going to be your firstborn son's name?
It's right. Its second half is where the quality is.
There we go.
But as we've done 3 times prior, we've made our top 11 for this point of the preseason, which kicks off. Well, I guess training camps have started. All have started. We're going forward with our top 11 as 11 questions about each division, and this is the 4th one, and it's the NFC North. So our first question in our top 11, number 1, is Aaron Rodgers the best quarterback in the NFL?
No.
Who's going first?
No.
Oh, I thought ours was.
I mean, I can. Yeah, he said no. I mean, excuse me. I could start. He's certainly in the conversation.
Yes.
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
I just think the other guys who are in the conversation have done it longer and better with less.
That's
to this
what
point.
I'm talking about. And with a scheme that doesn't say, hey, we're about to be doing this.
Right.
And with a defense that's, even though we'll talk about it soon, but overall they were okay. And
Turnover-wise, yeah.
And when you talk about time of possession and things of that nature, I was expecting to sort of list and see Green Bay all the way down the list because the idea is that they didn't run the ball well and this, that, and the other. And my general wisdom says, well, if you don't run the ball well, that means you don't have the ball that long. But they're right in the middle of the pack, like with time of possession. So, and overall, time of possession is, I mean, the gap from first to worst is 6 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So
that does tend to even out sometimes. With,
So I guess it does kind of even out. Mm-hmm. And I guess when you have those games where you're up, you're going to run in the 4th quarter. So maybe it'll be a little bit more valuable to see it maybe in the first 3 quarters or games where everything's normal. But he's a damn good quarterback, and he does a lot of things that a quarterback needs to do right well, like throw on the run. In today's league, you got to be able to throw on the run. He's excellent at that. Accuracy, he's on with that too. Mm-hmm. But the resume isn't the same, so I agree with you there. And I feel like on most of the same levels, Breeze is just better.
Yeah.
At most of the same things.
Stephon?
Yeah, I mean, I see him in kind of the same. I mean, he's a top-tier quarterback, but he's, in the conversation with a few first-ballot Hall of Famers who have not really fallen off yet.
Yeah.
And yeah, he does have a lot of weapons out there.
Right.
There are, some things he does better than anybody else. I think the back shoulder timing route to the side. I mean, that's kind of his patented move.
He's probably got the strongest arm.
He probably does too.
But that's a benefit. I mean, it's positive. I'm not knocking him there. That's being positive.
Yeah, he's got good pocket presence. He doesn't panic. He's got all the tools you want. It's just a crowded top tier. That's saying a lot to say you're the best quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, the best. And then it may be close enough to where you could say it comes down to preference, maybe, and you could argue hard for the top 3 or 4, and they could all have storylines and they'd all have jury, and you get to a certain point where you'd have to agree to disagree if we wanted to argue about it. But yeah, no.
Right, and I think it also comes down to most valuable. And the Patriots have seen a season without Brady. Still won 11 games. The Packers have seen games, and obviously I'm biased, even given the circumstances of this summer. But the Packers have seen games without Rodgers and scored over 40 points. So, yeah, you see where I'm leaning.
Yeah.
But we haven't experienced games without Drew. We've just experienced decades. And those were very
we saw the
positive.
Colts without Manning. That was a pretty
Right.
But I mean,
And there's another one. Yeah, very, very true.
yeah, I mean, some of
But
that.
without Manning, without Clark, without, I mean, it was a different.
They lost everybody, and
It was perfect timing for him to not be healthy, because that honestly that would have been a truer, I guess, test of who he was as a quarterback, and there's no doubt of his greatness. Maybe not no doubt,
but he would have had to drag them to 8-8.
Right. That was a team that was going to be 500 probably with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But he's fourth on the conversation, but he's the biggest question mark.
Yeah. The thing about, we've talked about this, the Patriots won season, without Brady and still winning 11. I mean, you could look at most valuable from the perspective of, okay, you take that quarterback away and you do nothing else. That's the Colts last year. The organization made no effort to change anything, around the subs.
Well,
whereas Denver last year, Orton wasn't working out, so they insert Tebow and completely changed the offense.
Right.
And better results. So the organization, I think in the Patriots case, maybe they had a system that they could plug.
Right.
Had a backup plan type system.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, maybe that's why they had Castle on the team, was they identified him as somebody who had
of course,
some of the skills they
Well,
needed.
you're talking about good coaching and preparation.
Right.
I'm saying that factors into how the team goes without
I'm not trying to limit Brady at all. I mean, or diminish Brady at all, because he's a bigger part of my initial argument, because he was so productive with nothing early in his career.
Yeah.
I mean, they name those receivers. You and I can, but
Troy Brown is the best receiver.
Right, and he was also the nickelback.
Right.
I mean, so no way. And he's the precedence of my argument there. And Peyton, that's the one thing about Peyton that we talked about when we were, I don't remember, early on, one of the earlier podcasts was his supporting cast has always been pretty damn strong. Mm-hmm. So, and people don't talk about that enough.
Yeah.
So, this is just worse than Denver. We'll see. We'll see what he can do.
Yeah. But, and it's tough to differentiate those top four. I mean, remember that time was it Zushi where we put together we organized
the receipt
quarterbacks. The receipt, backload receipt, and we just agreed to go 1 through 4.
And
those
no order.
Guys in no particular order, and then we worried about starting with Eli at 5 and going from there.
Right.
Yeah. It's like we didn't even want to have that conversation.
Right. And the running game mention is key, because it doesn't matter how great Aaron Rodgers is. If they can't get any semblance of running the football, it's going to be the same result as it was in this past season's playoffs. They'll be one and done.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. He can do as much as and he's probably their best running back.
At this point right now. Because they haven't brought Grant back yet.
No.
Like, I guess they're just making him sweat.
Oh, yeah.
Because
well, running backs you can. But you've got, when there's no onus on running the football.
Nice vocab.
Right. So, this is new glasses. But, but
look it up, people.
Right.
Onus, ONUS.
But you figure, you think you can probably plug anyone in. And Starks isn't a bad start. It's just
he got health issues. I know that.
They all do. So, but they've lost some guys too. They drafted some guys, but not to spend too much time on that question. So we all agree, not yet.
Not
but
yet.
There's
he's in the conversation.
Right.
He's on the
cusp.
Yeah,
yes.
He's in the bucket, but
only because these other guys are going to be out of the league.
Yeah, because that's what he's waiting on.
Yeah,
Right.
Wait 3 or 4 years. And,
Right.
Yeah.
Because the Super Bowl year might have been the best season he's ever going to play.
Right.
So that's something to consider.
Yeah, we want to see like 5 more of those.
And then that's another part. Yeah, is he's done it a couple of years. Let's do it going forward consistently.
Yeah.
Consecutively.
But I wouldn't doubt him.
No, but he's given us no reason to,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And all right, moving on to the other side of the ball for the Packers. Number 2 in the top 11 of our NFC North edition of our top 11, Jonesin and Whim. The Packers defense fell to 32nd overall in total yards allowed in 2011. They were 5th in 2010, their Super Bowl winning season. Can they regain their form from 2010 and 2012, or are they more the unit they represented statistically in 2011?
Don't take this the wrong way, but I had to go verify that when he said they dropped from 5th to 32nd.
That's why it's on here.
What the hell?
Because it's a glaring.
Yeah, it was a glaring weakness. It was so bad that they, only last year could the Patriots defense have been 31st because the Packers were so awful.
And that's 32nd overall and against the pass.
Yes.
So y'all weren't that, which you would have thought maybe.
Yeah. Well, the answer is that their true skill is probably somewhere in between, which is a pretty wide range.
Right. So basically, the improvement is likely because they can't be 33rd.
They can't be 33rd, yes. So one way to go. But I think they are going to be closer to the bottom than to the top.
Really?
Yeah.
Because against the run, they were 14.
Yeah.
Still struggle to be in the top half. But
yeah, but if you're, if you're ahead in a lot of games, you should be good against the run.
Because nobody's running.
Total yards, yeah.
Which is also scary. They're only 14.
Yeah. So, it's amazing to see a team fall apart like that in every respect on the defensive side in one season. So it feels like an anomaly to be 32nd.
No, I had that in my writing. It does seem like a bit of an anomaly. Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm not. See, these guys are going to pay off.
No, I'm not shocked. I was shocked that we had the same word.
You don't even have them on. It's just proximity.
Right. I believe it is a bit of an anomaly because they were ahead in so many games, and they've also created 9 or 10 more turnovers than any other team. So they took chances, but they paid off.
Yeah. They were opportunistic.
31 interceptions. That's incredible.
That's a show.
That is.
Yeah. That's 8 more than anyone else.
Yeah.
So yes, anomaly was definitely what popped into my brain, which I'll take because it popped into yours. So I'll stop cutting you off.
That's all right. I was about done.
That's wonderful. I went into nerd mode because I was gonna say the secondary is great, but the offense is all pass all the time, and look at this time possession, y'all. But no, they're like the middle of the pack on time possession. So my stat reach was dead for this week. But they have to be better because they have talent. Now,
front 7 is very talented.
Yeah.
It's a little overrated, but talented.
And then the radar is going to not be on them as much until they start winning some games. I mean, when you win the Super Bowl, obviously everybody's looking at your film, trying to figure out how they're going to kick you in the ass when you come to town and make themselves look good and all that.
I still think Aaron Rodgers will be on the cover of the Sports Illustrated preview, so the radar will be. I think so.
Well, but because of fantasy football, or because people think Green Bay is going to win something?
Because they 15-1 last year. You don't forget that.
Yeah.
They're going to be the favorite in their conference and probably overall.
But we call them losing.
What we're saying for him?
Oh yeah. It's a better overall picture. I mean, it's a better overall team.
And less change.
They're better at every position almost. You could argue, and offensively, and then defensively, front 7 they stack up. Yeah. But San Francisco's Green Bay stacks up more than you'd think.
And we'll get into it later. But this schedule that this division has is like it's cake. Pie, cookie,
it's not even cake. It's the simple dessert. It's pudding.
It's the cream filling.
Right. I mean, it means we're going to Green Bay. It sucks.
It's dessert tray is what it is. Maybe.
No, it's
the other option is even worse. Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah. No, exactly.
The other option is even worse, and you remember that one. But that defense will be better because they got too much talent.
And like I said, like I alluded to earlier. They're going to be better because they were 32nd. They can only be better. And
there's going to be some people showing up with some overtly bad defenses this year, too.
Right. And they're doing some smart things. They're going to move Woodson, which I thought they already did, but to safety probably after Nick Collins. He was gone last year, but Woodson, Charles is, God, he's older than me, right? I mean.
Yeah, he won the Heisman in 98?
Yeah.
97.
Or 97? Yeah.
It was. I mean, he overpaid Peyton's junior year, senior year. So
he's older than Peyton. So he's got to be older than you.
So, but he's still great. That's why he's a big reason they had 31 interceptions. He puts those guys in the right place. But Collins is gone. They have 2 new players at safety, which is why I think Woodson's going to move to safety. But they won't regain top 5. Top 10, top 15, top 20.
I mean, the top 5 is like the AFC.
Right. And almost in its entirety.
Top 4.
But with that schedule and with the talent that you mentioned, that they should be top 20 to 23, 24, but that's all they'll need.
And they play a couple bad teams.
But those bad teams a year ago moved the ball on them. So
yeah,
but it will help. So that's it with the Packers because fuck them. Number 3 on. I only mentioned these other teams because I feel an obligation to do so.
They're in the NFL.
Right.
And they
Bastards.
15-1 last year.
Right.
So I guess we'll talk about them for 8 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, there's one team in this division I only gave one question to. So,
Good reason.
Right. And it'll be an interesting question. But we all know what my stance will be. But number 3, which this kind of is the theme when I wrote these was the best of kind of theme. It just happened to be that way because there's so many young and up and coming players in this division. So on to Detroit. Speaking of up and coming, segue. Number 3 is Calvin Johnson, now the best receiver.
Don't make me say it. Don't make me say it.
You'll be the only one who does that.
He's better than Larry at this point.
No, he's not.
I mean, Larry has the better skill set, but if it's 3rd and 5, I'm kind of thinking I'd rather have the toss him up Calvin because.
But they're the same height, I believe.
Calvin and Larry?
I believe they're the same height.
They're both pretty big. Yeah.
They're both pretty big.
6'4".
Yeah.
And Calvin's faster.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Maybe not stronger, but faster.
He's typically, Larry's typically healthier.
Now, see, provided both are healthy, that situation last year was insane. So that's with everybody knowing from the tunnel on this guy's gonna be getting the ball, and he still had damn near 1,700 yards, 96 receptions, 16 touchdowns. Randy Moss is looking at that like, man, that is a lot of everything. Mm-hmm. Like 18 yards a catch, man.
Well, and going back to talking about the Packers defense, you could look at the Lions offense the same way as the defense is so bad. They're throwing the ball a lot too. So he's still, I'm not taking away from his ability. Right. But his stats are that way too because, one, no running game. No semblance of a running game. Another big word. Where are these damn things?
Yeah.
But
keep them on. Yeah.
But
can I buy a vowel?
So, and no, he is great.
Look.
He's not Larry yet.
No, 6'5", 230,
and
6'3",
Larry's
220.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a
So they're
world
both
of
6'4".
difference.
Right.
But the way he gets used like he's 6'9".
He's not as versatile as Larry still.
I agree with that.
Because he's yet to run. I mean, the intermediate routes, he's not typically. It's like the Nate Burlesons or whomever.
Yeah.
But Larry runs every route for Arizona, and Larry's got.
Yeah, because I mean, Larry.
Matt Stafford's not a joke, but he's a household name because of Calvin. So that's. He supported Calvin, I guess, a little bit too.
Yeah, so I'm going to get a chance to do this. I'm going to get a chance to do this week too. See, because Larry, when he came in, obviously, he was raised in the game. It's coming. You fucked it up. I'm about to do it now. Larry, I mean, he came up, and I mean, when you come into the league, you could be working with some quarterbacks that help you out with the tree and show you some stuff.
Blessed with.
And
the Torrey Holtz and the Isaac Bruce's.
Yeah, exactly. But that helps with the preparation and getting everything together. And I ain't saying, I'm just saying, sweet Kurt Warner. I'm just saying.
The dissertation's coming.
That's it. Just sweet
Kurt Warner is valued more as a person than a player, and it's benefited his vision as a player. That's true.
But there's something to be said for preparation and being helped out in that type of way and having somebody that's willing to get their ass knocked off to get you the ball and all that stuff counts. And there's 20 teams in the league that wish they had middle of the road sweet Kurt Warner as a quarterback. But they don't. But anyway, Larry is awesome. You know I love Larry, but it's close now. It's really, really close. And
it's close.
If I had to pick for the situations that they're in, I'm considering that too. I gotta go with Megatron in that situation because I think he's in a better situation to do more on that offense and on that team as a whole.
And speaking of injuries, which Larry never has had issues with.
Don't knock on something. Don't ruin that.
I'm not playing fantasy. I'm certainly not a Cardinals fan.
We're talking about Larry now.
But I'll give you reason one not to draft Megatron.
Oh.
He's on cover of Madden.
Right, he's the Madden cover. He's the Madden cover jinx. It's right there.
He's the Madden
He's
cover.
on the Madden cover. Avoid him at all costs. That's why when we go to our rankings, drop Detroit a level if you if you had him with second. Because without him, that offense. Matt Stafford's not so Matt Staffordy. I mean, he's made him.
Yeah, what is Burleson their number 2?
If that, I don't even know if he's even there anymore. I mentioned he was last year, but it's it's Burleson, Titus Young, who's the Boise State
Young is
guy, I
going to
believe.
replace Nate.
But they got our fella from Oklahoma, who I don't.
Broyles?
Yeah, I don't think he'll be ready quite now.
But at some point,
that was a hell of a pick. I'd love that guy. If he can get his shit right, his health right, he's gonna be a pro. And I mean, he's a great football player. So. But did you weigh in?
No, not yet. No, I still got Larry as number 1 talent. I think you swap Megatron for Larry. You trade him straight up right now, and Fitzgerald, becomes the fantasy monster. Not that he's been a slouch in any way, fantasy wise, but
even Bobby Skelton, John Skelton could find him.
Yeah, we all know Megatron's good, and I definitely put him a solid number 2. On the list, so it's a conversation worth having. But I mean Larry's just been so consistently excellent, the past 5 years plus.
Yeah,
I want him on that 3rd and 5.
Yeah, I just need to see a little bit more versatility out of Calvin, and then he's there, but he's never going to exceed Larry until they're 2 years different in age. So if Larry retires before, then he will. Mm-hmm. But I think But we all agree that's 1 and 2. I think.
Yeah.
So and 3 is another story for another list that I'll come up with.
We've already foreshadowed that.
Right.
Yes.
So okay, but the Madden cover, it's real. It's real.
It is real.
And Detroit fans that weren't smart enough to
it's undefeated
to not vote for him. Because every other team, even Texans fans, are smart enough that Foster only got to like the 3rd round. They were like, "Oh, wait a minute, hey," and they stopped voting.
And then
we had to scream at him, but
no, you keep voting. You just vote for the other guy.
Right. Yes. That's the thing. Yeah.
Right. Weren't they doing? But whose fans were doing campaigns to like get Rodgers voted on the cover? Maybe it was like
Probably Bears.
Probably Bears fans. That would make sense.
Because they're hateful but intelligent. It's bastards. We'll get to them in a bit. But on the bastards, number 4.
More bastards?
More bastards.
Well, and it's how you view them, how you...
Oh, better bastards.
But is Ndamukong Suh the best defensive lineman, along with the theme of best of? Is he the best defensive lineman in the NFL?
If I'm a quarterback, he's the one I least want to see. Because I don't know what he's going to do.
He might be the dirtiest.
He's definitely the dirtiest.
Right.
And he did have a very good rookie season, and I'm thinking he can do better. So.
But he's played more than one season.
Yeah. Well, last year was he? Let's see. Maybe I'm mixing them up.
It was Nick Fairley who.
Fairley is the one who's got all the DUIs.
Right.
Okay.
Well, and the injuries and the whole bunch of
the jokes.
Another Auburn debacle.
But is he? I mean, and for an interior lineman, defensive tackle, he gets a shitload of sacks,
right?
Which is unusual. The interior linemen are usually there to just kind of
stuff
bottle things up, stuff the run, and he does that well too. But he's got speed along with that size. I'm hedging here because if I'm going to say he's not the best defensive lineman in the NFL, then who is?
Well, I think that's where the conversation kind of needs to go. Who is it?
My gun is fully loaded.
Go ahead.
But and as far and glad you led in with at his position at defensive tackle, and he is he is one of the top defensive tackles in the league. I mean, Haloti Ngata, Geno Atkins, Vince Wilfork, he's lumped into that group at tackle. But end is a different animal.
Yeah.
And so when you start there, he's probably not the best defensive lineman in his division. Because I'd still put Julius Peppers ahead of him slightly. Because he played all 16 games last year. I think he got 11 sacks. And he's a freak.
And he just he ruins your offense.
He really does. If he's interested, you're screwed.
Yeah, ends like him and Suggs, they're so disruptive.
Right, and Jared Allen.
Yeah, Jared Allen too.
And I hate the guy. He's a scumbag.
And what's his name? Matthews. Green Bay. They all do the same thing.
Yeah. And he lives at the top of the sack list, Jared Allen. I mean, he 22 last year.
Wow.
So and there's so many other defensive ends you can name, but he's the youngest of all these, except for maybe Geno Atkins of Cincinnati, they're the same guy, just Geno does it a lot quieter. And he's certainly on his way to his ascent to the top has begun, but his attitude has got to change.
Yes,
his suspensions are going to hurt that, and stomping on people's faces. Hey, if it's a Packer, I'm for it, but the league frowns upon it.
Yeah.
So you're going to miss games.
Yeah, and having a dipshit for a coach doesn't help either.
No, and this
that's
is right.
Another conversation.
That really doesn't help.
Yeah.
That really doesn't
He's
help.
definitely leading by example.
Right.
Yeah.
So
This is how you act a fool.
Yeah.
About nothing. God, that dude's a bitch.
And I would put Matthews as he's an outside linebacker.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They play 3-4.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Tom Capers scheme.
Yes.
But we'll get to him in a bit. But yeah, does he have the potential? Of course.
Yeah.
And he's so different on and off the field. So I wish the real I'll get to that later too, because I think he's the MVP of their defense. But leading. But
I wouldn't argue with that.
right.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. But
They can obviously win without Fairley.
right. And that'd be a big key too going forward. But and I like Kyle Vandenbosch. I thought them adding him would have helped the attitude, and it just hasn't. And he's a competitor, no doubt, and it's frustrating maybe for him. But they won 10 games last year. What's he frustrated about? So when they hit real frustration,
Yeah.
what's he gonna
Give him a 7 and 9 season
Right.
and see how happy he is.
What's he gonna be? So
Stomp it.
again. So did you?
I don't have anything special to add to that. That's about right. I mean, he's probably not, if you talk about the whole line, he doesn't make it out of his own division.
Right.
Obviously, the potential is there, but again, guys are tough. Guys are nasty. Guys aren't going to be nice to each other. This is football.
We get
I
that,
get it.
but he takes it step up.
But you're stepping on a guy. That's how you get your knee blown out on purpose. Like that's how people gun for you. And once you make yourself, and once people
those guard traps,
and we get in the trenches, man. People can do some ugly stuff to you on purpose, and you get yourself on a list, and they mess around and play the wrong division one year, and they play somebody that don't care. His knee is gone. His career is over. I mean, that could happen quick. That's a one-play thing.
Yep.
And so he's in dangerous territory right now. Because it's one thing to be like Finnegan. You pissing people off. Andre Johnson might get pissed off and punch you one time.
Yeah, try to get a rise out of the guy. That's one thing. Yeah.
But you're stepping on folks. It's in a lineman situation. That's not what you want to be doing.
And you're taking hammer throws at quarterbacks' heads.
Oh yeah,
doesn't go down well.
It gets you targeted.
Yeah,
and you don't want to be. You want to be targeted when you're a receiver, not a lineman.
True.
Word.
All right, so and no segue to this one, but we move on to the next team.
You want to get targeted as a receiver.
Right, there you go. Hey, I need to put the glasses back on.
Come on, man.
On to Chicago. Chicago. They made a pretty, I guess it might have been quiet acquisition. I don't think it'll be quiet on the field and going forward, but they added Brandon Marshall.
Yeah.
How will he translate in Chicago. On the field,
they can,
off the field.
They can fill
They still have bars. We can throw people downstairs.
But no, they can fill his prescription. They're in Chicago.
Oh, it's Earl.
They probably got him living in a flat, so can't throw a chick down the steps in a flat.
That's right. That's why they call them flats.
So unless they got basement too.
I've been in the flats with
Unless they got
double
basements.
levels.
Unless they got basements. Well, forget that.
They
though.
certainly have basements.
Damn it, they got basements, man. I don't know.
Oh,
But
man.
besides that,
You can lock her in those too.
he's pretty much about to be back in the conversation because this dude gets 1,000 yards no matter what if he plays. So, not to say that Chad Henne is horrible because we've argued for him before. He misses throws in situations where you would hope he wouldn't miss a throw, but he makes throws and got a strong arm too, so he can get you the football.
Yeah, he's a decent quarterback.
He's a decent quarterback, inconsistent, but you put Cutler with Marshall, and I don't think Cutler's evolved to the point where he's gotten better. But I don't think he's evolved to the point where he'll go away from having tunnel vision on a target that he likes. And I'm pretty damn sure he's going to like Brandon Marshall.
Chemistry and history there.
And when he likes somebody, he throws to him a lot. And you want to make a receiver happy, throw to him a lot. And give him medication and put him on the flat. But besides that, he's going to have a good ass season.
Yeah, and
I expect that.
I think
provided he stays healthy.
Right, and I think this is, I mean, it's for me it was the $5 million question, and I'll pat myself on the back for that. But and like you mentioned, at Jonesin, he is regarded as one of the best receivers. We've always sung his praises, but he's also regarded as one of the league's craziest players.
Yes,
and that's
everywhere. Right, he's got the history, he's got the chemistry with Cutler, so that's there. But keeping both of them healthy, because Marshall does miss the games, which you indirectly alluded to in your diatribe or whatever. But
he missed 2 in 2010, 3 in 09, 1 in 08.
Yeah, so as a receiver, you're missing games, right?
Yeah.
So he's missing,
Here and there. I mean,
right, but right. So
he
he's
still had
missing,
1,000 yards in each season.
but well, no, that we know. That's why we regard him as one of the league's best. The key here is, and this is something I wanted to present to y'all, is he walks into that locker room for the Chicago Bears. Is he not the best receiver they've ever had?
Yeah, I was thinking back. I'm like, Willie Gault?
That's it. That's the guy.
Yeah.
He walks in there already the best.
That's because he's top 5.
Cutler, you could argue at this point.
Yeah, I mean he's his per catch average. I mean, and the routes that he runs, he's the perfect possession receiver. I mean, he's not going to score 15 touchdowns. I don't think. Even working with Cutler, with whom he has the history, because something about Soldier Field just makes wide receivers worse.
Well, and the tight end, well, he'll be a red zone target. Well, the wind and obvious things. Yeah.
It screws up a lot of good receivers, but
Right.
they have not had a receiver this good come in, and
he'll be the red zone target though, because the tight end that they traded to Carolina or something.
Olsen.
Are you talking about Olsen?
Yeah. So he's gone.
He's gone.
I mean, he played in Carolina all last year.
Yeah,
he's been gone.
They've been gone.
Yeah. So who is their tight end?
So no Olsen.
Kellen Davis.
And
Matt Spade from Pittsburgh.
Big Matt Spade, which is a stupid thing.
These aren't bad options.
No, they're not.
But you're not going to milk those cows down the field. They're going to run the ball as much as they can. They got 2 backs to do it with. And they still got Khalil Bell hot now, too. So
Did they read?
I believe they
Because he was restricted.
Yeah, I think they've already done
And
it.
that was a no-brainer.
And it should have been. Well, it's Chicago. But, yeah.
He's a Matt Forte clone, but
Yeah.
which is a big deal.
Don't tell Matt Forte.
No.
I mean, playing in Miami for Marshall, 1,100, 1,300 yards and 6 touchdowns does not get noticed. But it'll get noticed in Chicago
Because it's
if he turns it into 1,400 and 10 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Which is what he did with Cutler.
Yeah.
But I agree that with your point that he'll get his numbers, he'll get his yards, but it might hurt their potential for winning football games because Cutler falls in love with the target and falls into that mode, which is fine.
That's what you're hoping for.
Right, I'm for that.
But besides that, what you gotta
Took him
hope.
off 5 times.
Right.
And now I said Cutler hadn't improved enough, but there's a certain amount of Cutler protection you gotta have. I mean, I talk about that Favre season often, where he had that low number of interceptions because the play calling was full far protection. Like, if you find a way to throw 20 interceptions with this play calling, this is
shame
all
on you. Right.
This is all on you. Like,
Right.
you got Adrian Peterson, who we'll talk about soon. You got Adrian Peterson back there. Hand him the damn ball. You know what? We're going to call plays for you where it's going to be either this guy or throw it away. And we know you're okay with throwing some shit out of bounds. Do it. And they can do the same thing with Cutler because they had Cutler in a similar place last year. But now they're going to, if they do the same thing with more talent, then it should be on.
And when Cutler went down, they looked like one of the better teams. Was it the Chargers we were watching them play before the Dynamo Championship?
I think so.
I think.
Yeah.
They look like one of the better teams in the league. Mm-hmm. And it pains me to say it. It pains me to... Because if I say it, I have to realize it.
Yeah.
But,
is this thing on?
But, right. But, I mean, they basically return a lot of people. And adding Marshall to that offense and Forte, if he's healthy, it's scary. And that defense is a year older at every position, which will helf. But they're so lucky on that side of the football.
And the schedule is favorable this year.
Of course,
AFC South, NFC West.
Yikes. So,
yeah, or lack of yikes.
Yeah, a lot of non-existent defenses there. So.
Right. So
and one good one, Houston. And,
right.
And San Fran, that's two. Yeah.
Right.
They play them back-to-back weeks.
So basically, as
Prime time.
answering this question is as easy as knowing how Brandon's going to wake up that day. It's hard to answer.
Yeah.
If they even mimic what they did in Denver, it will translate very favorably.
Right. I think it's just going to translate into some nice statistics, and most likely it's going to translate
a couple
into
more
some
interceptions
wins.
for Cutler.
Yeah, a couple more interceptions for Cutler, but it's going to translate into some wins, I would imagine, because looking at their schedule, because it's just going to give them more firepower when the defense falls on a random fumble. When Hester comes back with the jackass 80-yard return, he gets pushed out of bounds on the 12. And
I think he will, because I think Marshall will be the red zone.
And now they're going to be in the red zone, and it's not Forte 3 times field goal. It's going to be, they got options now. And when you got options, that keeps defenses off balance, and that's the situation.
They added Eric Williams. I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Well, how does that work?
Well,
because the kick return, how's that going to work?
Yeah.
Eric Williams. He was great in Atlanta.
I thought you said Williams.
No, he was great in Atlanta for returning kicks. I guess they'll both be back there. So the special teams get more intriguing.
If that's feasible.
Right. Sorry.
I have a sense without any stats to back this up that Cutler sucks after the sun goes down. And 5 of their first 10 games are at night. So we'll see how that works out.
No, that's fair. Because didn't they open the season with Green Bay and he threw like 4 picks and we were just chuckling? Well, that might have been 2 years ago, but still.
I think that was a couple years ago.
But we called it and it happened.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think you took a phone call and he threw 3 picks during that phone call.
Exactly.
I was like, there's another one.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that happened.
That did happen.
But, we move on to number 6 on the list, top 11. We put Marshall to bed. Hopefully, he can put his insanity to bed.
It's going to wake up as soon as you close the door.
He knows what I'm talking about. But at 34 years of age and coming off another knee injury, I think he's had prior knee injuries. I wrote that, and I'm thinking, I guess I didn't pull it out of my ass, but wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah.
But and it wasn't the last game of the season. I think it was at Minnesota. Can Brian Urlacher still be one of the best linebackers in the NFL? And you'd have to already consider him to be one of the best, which, as much as I wouldn't want to say it, I probably would lump him in there.
His body of work, over his career, yeah.
He's one of the best athletes we've seen at that position.
Yes.
And that's a lot to say. I mean, given the position, given my dislike of him, which I really never been able to pinpoint why, other than maybe he plays for Chicago.
That's enough.
And he just overall seems like a dumb fella, which with these glasses, I gotta raise my nose to. But I don't know. I'll go in with this one. I'll lead in with this one and let y'all fix it and pick up
You said his name, right?
the carnage. Yeah, but Brian Urlacher, I thought so. Yeah. Is he still one of the best? I mean, if we're making a list today of linebackers,
And checking it.
right? I mean, I've got Patrick Willis, James Harrison, DeMarcus Ware, Ray Lewis, Terrell Suggs, I still think London Fletcher is a great player. Maybe not ahead of him, but along that path because they're both older. Jared Mayo. Mm-hmm. And possibly his teammate Lance Briggs, right? Ahead of him.
Urlacher's,
yeah. Lamar Woodley of the Steelers is still playing at a great level. And I haven't mentioned Clay Matthews, which I wouldn't. But
or D'Lo Jackson.
Right. Yeah, it's coming. And then John Beeson in Tampa, Tamba Ali, outside linebacker in Kansas City. So, I don't know. But top 10 to 15 still qualifies you as one of the best, right?
Maybe, even if you're 15.
And at 34 years of age, I'm ranking him on his body of work, not on what he's going to be going forward.
Okay. 2
knee injuries, sprain, 2 MCL, whatever, 2 things. I still think his competitiveness will drive him. He's probably top 10. He's probably better than a couple of the names I mentioned. So I'm one of the best. That's a relative term.
Yeah, I mean he knows how to play the game. After 12 years and those knee injuries, he may be slowing down a little bit. We may see those tackle numbers drop a bit, but you definitely want him out there anchoring the defense. The middle linebacker is more than just a.
Right. He's probably smarter than I give him credit for.
He probably is.
He has to be, given his production.
Yeah, you remember when D'Amico Ryans went out for the Texans, and then Cushing was quoted as saying, "Man, I don't know what I'm going to do out there. D'Amico always tells me what to do." He's a coach on the field, usually the middle linebacker. So there's, of course, if you're comparing him against other middle linebackers, that's okay. So they all do that.
Right, and then middle linebackers.
I get the sense that Urlacher does that better than most.
Right, and as middle linebackers go, it's as far as leaders on the field, intelligence-wise, it's Patrick Willis, Ray Lewis, Velma as far as intelligence, and maybe him. I mean, they're just I don't know. Mayo's outside or he's outside.
I think he's inside.
Is he?
Yeah.
So
they've been playing a 3-4, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, put a little fork in the middle. Or no, they mix it up. They'll sometimes put Love out there too.
Yeah.
2 400-pound tackles.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Beef.
No running that day.
Good luck running.
So, Art.
Anyway.
Yeah, I feel about the same. I mean, obviously I'll have some of my basic things to say about him. I mean, he's up there. And when you understand the game and you understand it's very tangible now when you start getting older. Even for people who don't play football, it's all about how you're going to eat, how you're going to take care of your body, even if you're coming off an injury.
What hot chick you're going to bag.
Yeah, what hot chicks you're going to bag, all that.
He's dated all of them.
Yeah.
Sweeties.
You got to figure all that stuff out, and you got to figure if anybody has it figured out, it should be somebody like him in his situation, especially considering he's had one before. So I'm guessing he'll land somewhere around the same place where he's always been. He's some sensible dinners. Not to mention, it's not like Chicago's in the dumps right now either. I mean, they're adding stuff, and they were kicking ass before Cutler went down last year. So he has a lot of reasons to eat some sensible dinners and come back and try to get us another run. Maybe a couple more years at least.
Right.
So I think with all that, he should be fine. But obviously, Father Time is undefeated, but it's coming for him. But maybe he doesn't win this year.
Right. And maybe those injuries bought him a couple more years, the missing that time. And
he missed almost all of 09.
Right.
I think he got hurt like in the first quarter of the first
He
game.
It's kind of the Brady-esque with Kansas City game. Yeah.
Thanks. And he missed 7 games in 04.
So, but and again, I can't define or explain my dislike of him other than when he acts, he sounds stupid, but most athletes do. But he's clearly cerebral enough that he played safety in college, and then to move to middle linebacker. Those are the 2 of them, the more cerebral positions on that side of the ball. So he's clearly got it upstairs, and that'll buy him time.
Yeah.
He'll make better decisions. He'll lean on his brain more as he gets older than he will his athleticism. So, is he one of the best? Depending on what number you cut off best. But yeah, I got to give him credit. He's fun to watch. As fans, we want him on the field, even if we like Chicago about as little as I do. So, speaking of liking things a little, number 7. on the top 11. I don't not like the guy. I've defended him recently in the Houston media because he got jumped by cops or security guards. But is Adrian Peterson the best running back in the NFL?
No.
If the game is handed to this guy and let him run with it through traffic, then maybe. But running backs do so much more than just carry the ball.
Yes.
I love his style. I think I've called
Relentless.
it relentless. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's probably also going to end up shortening his career, but it makes him fun to watch. Eyes are always downfield. He's got a nose for the end zone, but he doesn't catch passes, and I don't think he blocks either.
He doesn't block so well either.
He's a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
So
It's a nice trick,
Yeah, it's a great trick.
but it's not Halloween every Sunday.
no, and once you created the LT Westbrook template of if you want to be a badass running back in the NFL, you got to be doing all this stuff. Or if you want to win games as an NFL team, you better have some what I call squirrely back. You better have somebody that does all this stuff that your main back doesn't do. And to be considered the best, you got to be an all-in-one type back today.
In this time's game, yes, you have to be versatile.
And maybe in the last decade.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe in the last. I mean,
Well,
once
LaDainian, we let into
LT laid out
Yeah.
the template.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
Falk did, and then Tomlinson, and then
yeah, and it's like, well, if you're not going to be doing all this stuff, then it doesn't seem like he's working on it. It doesn't seem like, I'm about to catch these passes this year, y'all. You don't hear about that. It's just he's coming back and he's going to run straight, and if you get in the way, he might run over you and make you make sports him, which is great because he's a physical back. But like I agree with Stefan, you're talking about shortening your career because everybody's in shape now. Everybody's big and fast and ready to knock you off your shit the whole game. So you play the law of averages and you keep running straight, ready to hit somebody as a running back. Somebody's going to hit you, and you're going to be hurt. Or you're going to do a weird cut in a situation where you're not supposed to do a weird cut, and you're going to fall down. And that's a knee. That's a knee. That's an ankle. That's something. And then now you're talking about limping around Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, hoping, bullshitting through practice Thursday, limping around Friday, and now everybody got to sit around and wonder if you're going to play on Sunday. And that's messing up your team. That's messing up your rhythm. It's throwing off everything. So you're talking about torpedoing a team with that type of style when you don't have other things in the chamber that you can use.
And you're talking about a team that doesn't prepare for these injuries. They have nothing behind them.
No.
Sorry.
And they don't and they know what he's missing, and they don't have the what I'm calling the squirrely back around him. Like they don't have Percy Harvin can't be your number one receiver and your squirrely back too. That's great
They
for
try,
fantasy.
but
Yeah, that's great for fantasy and all, but that's not going to win you in a game.
yeah.
The one element of his game that he's really improved upon is fumbling.
True.
I mean,
And that
he
comes
used to be
with
the
experience,
worst,
right.
But it was like suddenly he fumbled 9 times in 08, 7 times in 09. People are like, this guy's just going to fumble his whole career. Once in 2010 and once in 20.
No, he's fixed that.
Yeah.
Which is good to showing improvement, but we've talked for 5 minutes about all the shit that's wrong with this guy. So there's no way he could be. I don't even think he's in the conversation legitimately.
I don't know. I don't have him as top 5, and there's 5 to 8 more guys that I could defend with a legitimate argument. As far as because of what you alluded to which is what I would have alluded to. In the game as it's now constructed, you need to be a versatile, dynamic player. You need to catch the ball out of the backfield. You need to pick up the blitz. He does neither of those things. He doesn't even try to do either of those things.
Right.
Yes, he's a north-south runner, and he's the best. Maybe the best we've ever seen.
Maybe.
But in this times game, 60% of the time he's worthless.
Yeah, because
And their record shows that.
yeah,
So
because
he's
think
born too
about
late.
it. Right. Because think about it. You get a 3rd and short. He's basically like the Shaq of the NFL. Like in certain situations, he can't even be out there.
Right.
Like, I got to take this guy out.
Because there's no threat of passing to him. There's no threat of play action.
So it's just bad.
Right. I mean, and I'm going to list these guys. Would you say they're at least as good as he is right now? LaShawn McCoy.
Better.
Yeah.
Ray Rice.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
MJD.
Yeah.
Matt Forte.
That's close, but he's better.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Aaron Foster.
Yeah.
Just because of what he does in the passing game.
That was I had this written down. I was like, is Foster better? Because I was gonna start asking that question.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
I don't like the guy. You know that. Y'all know that. But if I'm going to continue with my argument, his versatility.
based on your theme,
Right.
yes. But that said, now we got to talk about the simplicity of the Texans' offense. Like, if you have a general
Basically,
amount
Denver
of
running
talent,
game. Denver running
yeah,
game.
how hard
Denver
is it to be what Foster is right now?
Yeah, I'm not a fan. But
I mean, they do have a take.
I'm not a fan of Peterson either.
Yeah, but they have a Tecmo Bowl playbook. And you got to be talented enough, and you got to have enough sense to say, this is where the hole is. This is where the play is supposed to go. I'm not going to be dancing in the streets, pulling a Reggie Bush. This is where the hole is. I'm going there. I might drag me somebody for 2 or 3 yards, but if they block this shit right, I got 20 yards. And that's the way that zone blocking scheme works. And that's the way blocking works in general. But what happens is, because of video games and Tecmo Bowl and Madden and all that, everybody thinks, oh, running back Barry Sanders juking 6 times behind the line, breaking 8 times. No, that's not the way real football actually works. It's the hole is supposed to be there. You get there. You make a decision. You take your ass through that hole right then. Based on that, Peterson's awesome at that. Mm-hmm. And if you ask the question, could he do the same thing with Foster, like as Foster's doing now? Just the running into a hole and go ahead and catch this pass right quick. Do you think Peterson could catch passes? Do you think they're not doing it?
I don't understand why they haven't implemented it. I mean,
it's hard to.
Why bring a whole other player in and a white fella to boot?
But he's not the. But you know, Gearhart is a pass catcher.
No, so I don't.
But something the Vikings don't want to do.
But when they had what's his name before?
Oh, Chester Tate.
Yeah, Chester did all that.
Chester caught passes.
So they clearly want that a part of their offense.
Right.
And as much as I don't like Aaron Foster, just because he's just douchey.
He's pretty douchey.
He's certainly a more versatile player.
I can see that.
Because he's going to be the first overall pick probably in fantasy. And I hate on him. But he's versatile. He's better than maybe even people like me, obviously, want to give him credit for.
That's why I'm asking the question. Like, I'm thinking, you know,
if you plug Adrian Peterson in, that would probably change the offense.
Because of the things that he can do.
Right. And the things that he can't do.
Because he'd be a monster at, there go this hole.
Yeah, it's cut and go. It's cut and go.
It's a one-cut run system.
Yeah,
and
certainly.
One-cut run system sounds like something I want Adrian Peterson to be a part of.
Perfect thing.
But go ahead and catch the screen pass on a 3rd and 3, y'all.
Right. You can't do it. And that comes to Kubiak, who's also, give him credit to people I don't want to give credit to. But also his adjustment to, and this is their own fault, because they pick the players that are on their team. But they only have one receiver that's serviceable as far as downfield.
True.
So they use the tight ends, they use the running backs, they use Kevin Walter, which can only be used. I mean, you don't really just describe his part in that offense as a intermediate route runner and a great blocker. I mean, so he's like a tight end. And I mean, but as your number 2 receiver, so that's why Foster fits so perfectly in that. We're getting on a tangent going into the Houston Texans offense, but
foreshadowing, we got to let them know what's coming.
But no, I mean, I don't even remember where I started with that. But
yeah, because we're talking about to get back.
The reason they use Foster the way they do is because they have to. Yeah, but he can. He did it. I mean, he had a fumbling issue in Tennessee that went away, but it's coming back. So.
Yeah.
Again, if we're ranking running backs based on that, but you're right. Peterson fixed it. Peterson's had a couple more years to fix it.
Yeah.
But it's his one. He's a one-trick pony.
Yeah, I really think he is. I mean, it maybe it's just a hypothesis, but may have something to do with that relentless running style. He's just so used to getting the ball and bounce off somebody, make one cut and go. I mean, that's not how you carry the ball on a screen pass. You got to have patience. You got to wait for the blockers. You got to make a few moves and run less than full speed often, and then kick it into gear once that block is finally made.
Well, yeah, you're talking
And maybe he just
finesse
can't
and
learn to do
vision
it.
and all that.
Right, and maybe he might not have the hands. They gotta practice this and see what he's got. You know, you think,
then they
right?
throw it
I
like
can
all
catch a
people.
football. I'm sure Adrian Peterson can catch a football.
Well, you say that, but it's under different circumstances.
True.
And you're not the worst athlete in the world either.
Yeah.
Don't hate on yourself. But
But then the other thing too about that catching pass out of the backfield too is there's guys that you see teams and they try to force the issue because it's a copycat league, and as soon as as soon as a running back has 70 catches or 80 catches or 5 running backs have 70 catches, it's like, man, we got to get our guy to start randomly catching some passes. And you see the Giants trying to throw it to Brandon Jacobs a couple years ago, and he's like, like clam hands, like, oh my goodness, I'm trying to catch this. But he had like an accidental 40-yard touchdown. He's like, cheeseburger,
and that's the
cheeseburger.
thing, right? That's the thing is this usually is bred from poor quarterback play or young quarterback play, which this team has. So you'd think if any team would want their running back as a safety valve, it's the Vikings.
Dump it off.
Right, and they still don't do it.
Yeah.
Because it's got to be because his hands are deficient. I mean, I don't know.
It's got to be.
Well, it's the hands and it's also the feet. You know, I mean, if you're always like coming back to the ball, you know, then you don't, it's out of sync with, you know, because the linemen are coming out and risking an illegal man downfield penalty every time. So you got to be grabbing the ball and then looking upfield. So
And now they lost their tight end, Shank. Just trying to break the record for tight end sign in the off season.
right, yeah.
The Simon, they cut him like a week later.
yeah.
Shanko will make the team, but
You're on the team. You're off the team.
and that's just team signing for chance of a ring, and I'm fine. Player signing, sorry for chance of a ring, and I'm fine with that. Shanko's good shit though. But all right, enough on that running back. I've never ever considered him, even when he was racking up yards and clearly the best. I've never.
He's been the number one fantasy player in the NFL.
Yeah.
In the past, but that doesn't make
That one season, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's why
That
this
3,300-yard game helped.
Yeah.
33.
Well, this conversation
300.
deserves stretching out, though, because this kind of leads to the conversation that we need to have about fantasy versus reality. Because so many people are playing fantasy football that people are starting to use that as their barometer to say, oh, well, this guy's badass because he won me my fantasy league. And then it's like, well, that team went 9-7 and they got murdered in the playoffs because of the weaknesses of these players that you're calling so awesome and great. Well, they won your league. That's great. I hope you did something good with the money. I hope they have a dope trophy that you have on your desk that you can point to and talk shit about all day. But on the back in the real world with the football and the actual games, well, there's better players that do better things. Let's look at the teams that won the Super Bowl and look at the players that they have and talk about the things that they do. And maybe they don't get used in a certain way, which is why they couldn't help you win your fantasy league. So a guy like Peterson gets dropped on a list because of fantasy football, and he has all these rushing yards, and he's the only back there, and all of that type of stuff. But we named 5 guys that are better with zero argument, and you said 5 to 8 more, and I'm trying to think of who those guys would be, and I'm pretty much assuming I wouldn't argue much with those guys either, because
Brian Matthews.
or a guy, well, not to get that greedy, because I don't like him though. That's a different conversation.
Well, I don't think he does either.
But like Bradshaw,
I don't think he do either.
like Bradshaw, nobody talks about Bradshaw and best running back in the league, and I think he's easily better than Peterson.
He's got health too, though.
He got health issues, but on the field, what he does, that dude's a damn good back, man.
No, he is.
So, and he blocks.
And whoever
he randomly catches
whoever
passes.
runs for, I put Blunt as the same guy as Peterson.
It just
He
depends
just
how-
lumbers a little bit more.
Yeah, it
But
just depends how much value are you willing to assign to the best runner. I mean, his career per carry average is 4.8,
which
is ridiculous considering how few moves.
But what is it? What is it? The last 2 seasons, he had the best line in football his first 3 or 4
it was
years.
like
Ridiculous
it was-
line,
it
like
was
Hall
like
of Famers all across.
4.7 last year.
Before that,
Wow.
okay, so you good. You got it. You good. Because they had a ridiculous offensive line.
Yeah.
So I mean he's a good back.
He's a damn good back, but best in the league. That he gets thrown around with best in the league, and when you say no, people start cussing and hooting and hollering and telling you about the fantasy league and all that, and it's like What are you talking about? Stop.
Yeah. Right.
So that's why we beat the horse on that. I think that's acceptable horse beating right there.
The one trick pony. We beat the one trick that he is. That's enough for the Vikings. This division, it's picked up with Detroit now being respectable, and maybe more so than that. That might be an understatement. And then obviously Chicago's always in the mix because they're just a lucky fucking organization. But is this the best division in the league? This number 8 of our top 11, NFC North.
Stefan?
Well, Minnesota doesn't suck because a lot of divisions have 3 decent,
right, and
good teams, and then one laggard. You know, a lot of divisions look like that, or it's like the AFC West where it's a lot of average teams and hard to tell.
Right.
I think it's in the discussion if Minnesota isn't too bad. I tend to lean towards AFC East as being a pretty good one. All the teams in the AFC North can play with you. They may not be the best overall, but the defenses are also good. They're going to stay in the game. And the NFC East.
That's they live in the conversation.
Yeah. They're always.
And Washington's better than Minnesota.
Right.
And then you have 4.
The question is, is the Green Bay Detroit combo better than the Philly Dallas combo or Philly Giants combo?
Or that. I mean, that's the thing.
Whoever ends up being.
Right.
Yeah, I always feel like NFC East underachieves every year. Like there's always. Like, the Giants have their month where they can't do anything right. The Cowboys have their month where they can't do anything right.
Because they're playing the NFC East.
and then the Eagles are supposed to be this and supposed to be that. And then somebody falls on the ground and they don't end up being that. And, Washington is just a dumpster fire of bad management and coaching. But they have talent on paper. Like, every year you look at who they have and it's like, man, these are some decent pieces, at least on one side of the ball, usually. Yeah. They got some decent pieces. But then they'll show up and have Santana Moss as the number 1 receiver and Joey Galloway as the number 2. And it's like, come on, guys. Y'all are disrespecting me now. It's 2011. Joey Galloway can't be your number 2 receiver.
Yeah, with Washington, my perception is, they go out and they get these pieces, they get these names, and you say, oh, okay, these guys, they got some talent. But then they don't have money left to fill in the other positions.
Yeah. And
they don't have a good team.
They're headed in the right direction once they fire their coach.
Yeah.
That always helps.
Yeah.
And the whole staff and everybody. But I don't know whether they're going to do that or not. I'm guessing RG3 is going to save them. We'll get to talk about that, too. That's going to be a fun conversation. But besides that, as far as leaving potential out and then leaving bias out, this division has to be in the conversation. I mean, because this is 3 strong teams.
This is 3 10+ win teams. Probably.
Yes, they got defenses and they got don't mess around because we will score a 50-yard touchdown on you type offenses.
Right.
And in this league, and now with Marshall coming to Chicago, not to mention having Cutler and having those backs that they have, now you can say that their offense is out of whatever hole you want to put them in back in the day. So you're talking 3 holy crap offenses and. Yeah, Minnesota is probably bad, but they're better than Cleveland.
Right.
So.
Right, and I'd rank it second behind the NFC East because Washington's better than Minnesota.
Yeah.
And then it's them at 2. And then 3 for me would be the AFC North because Cleveland is so bad. And then depending on how good Buffalo has gotten, the AFC East would be 4th. Right there, but they're all their worst team away from being 1, and that's the defining difference.
I like to step up and look at that 3rd team, and you look at the 3rd teams in the NFC East, and this.
It's hard for me to define the 3rd team in the NFC East.
Yeah,
that's why.
Who's 3rd?
Right.
I mean,
equally likely any of those 3.
Right.
It just depends on who has the worst month.
I would say going forward, the Super Bowl champs will be 3rd, in my opinion. And we'll get at that in next week or whatever week. But but that's still strong.
That's still
That's not a bad place to be.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
East is not disrespectful.
Right, and it's strong for their argument as the best division.
Yeah, and it just seems I don't know whether it's because of the way they get covered with the Cowboys being in that division too, and that just seems to be a clear bias and attention towards that division in general. And oh yeah, by the way, 2 of the last 5 are the Giants, so obviously there's going to be some attention there, and having Peyton's little brother out there doing all that too, but it just seems like that division screws the pooch all season long. Like you could pick a team, like, oh, this is the team. This team's month to take a shit and not do anything right.
Because they're playing in the division.
But even now, what's the excuse though? Because now they got things backloaded.
Yeah, we'll get more on that division. I don't want to.
Yeah, I think
That division is going to be a 2-hour segment. But
yeah,
because there's so many uncertainties. There's so many new. I don't even want to introduce any of it. That's on the top of my head because it's several things on the top of my head that I don't even want to get into.
The opinions could vary drastically. That
So
is going to be a good one. But yeah, I think so. I think this is the division right here.
This is the North?
Yeah.
So I was going to say it's a clean sweep of best of. None of them were, but
No, I
I don't think
East.
they're number one.
I don't either.
But I'm talking about what actually. It seems like they do a lot less when they have good teams. They win. But NFC East, they have good teams and they find ways to lose with good teams.
But let's match up. Okay, say we hypothetically rank them 1 through 4. You match those teams up. Then you start swapping around. I think the East will win more games than because Minnesota ain't beating anybody. Not even on their worst day.
No.
So that's over. If we play at Soldier Field, Chicago will win a couple. But it doesn't matter. But they're headed that way. If Minnesota was, just think of this division 2 years ago with Favre, and they were in the NFC Championship. They were an interception away. So they're on the cusp. It's certainly in the conversation.
An interception and a couple of fumbles. Yeah.
Well, we
that was the year. That was the year for that.
But,
they got a bounty of turnovers.
And I don't know.
It's a bad joke weekend.
And I don't know why it hadn't been talked about more. We were the least penalized, least injured player. I mean, there's so much to counter. That's all hypothetical. I mean, but it happened. But whatever, we're fine. The beauty of that is they have a big old life-size Sean Payton head, like looking back and staring at him and like, do your job in the indoor facility.
One of those heads on a stick.
Yeah, it's just a big old picture. It's like, do your job, and he's like staring at him.
Yeah, but I'm not there.
Beautiful. So we'll be fine. But that's for the final week of this 8-week preview session. On to number 9 of the top 11 NFC North questions, as we do every one of these. MVP of each team, offense and defense. So who would?
Who are you starting with, Bane?
Who would?
Yeah.
Who would have to be for that for them to be successful on each side of the ball, offensive, defensive? I'll start. Green Bay. It's got to be James Starks, whoever the running back is, and the offensive line. Because this team can't run the football. They're not going anywhere. Same as last season. So for me, it's them. On offense, Green Bay. Let's start with Green Bay. Offense. Go.
Yeah, I mean, the passing game is such that you probably plug and chug a lot of guys into various roles and, wouldn't be hurt that much by a single injury.
For a game or two, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we know what Rodgers can deliver, and he probably will. So he's a less interesting choice than to think about the running game and what they can do there. I like that. Is Starks the clear number 1, or are they?
He's the only one there.
The other ones are draft picks.
Yeah. Okay.
They haven't brought like he said, they haven't brought Grant back yet. But no one else has brought him in either. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they got Kuhn, fullback.
Yeah. The guy that they keep giving the ball to at the 1, and then he
Right.
Yeah.
Don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rest are
That's great.
The rest are draft
Get us
picks.
down the field, and then Kuhn will fumble at the 1.
The rest are undrafted free agents and one draft pick.
One draft.
Third round from 2011. Alex Green, who eludes me as to who he is.
Yes.
Green, he's got a good,
From Hawaii.
Amon Green, so he fits in the green in the uniform. Art?
Yeah, I'm taking the boring angle actually for most of this division. I feel like with these teams, these quarterbacks are huge for these three for 3 out of 4 of these teams. The 3 good teams.
Literally, Stafford looks a little fat. He's huge.
Yeah, he needs to eat some sensible dinners and get. Well, they're looking at.
I think he's just got face fat.
He does have face
yeah.
fat.
Yeah.
But these dudes, man, they're required to do a lot, make a lot of throws, make a lot of calls, make a lot of things happen for these offenses. And if any of them would have any kind of fall off, all this talk about 10-win seasons for all 3 of those teams is out of the window if we don't get
Well, it's been
good
proven.
quarterback play.
It's been proven
And
for
so-
2 of the teams, for sure.
So I'm putting that on them. Like, we talk about being able to plug in somebody for a 1-game or 2-game situation for Rodgers.
Not
I
fun.
can see that.
It happened.
It happened. But when you start talking about fall on the ground week 3, now you got to have somebody for 5 or 6 weeks. I don't know.
My dream last night.
Yeah.
And he's had a lot of concussions.
Yeah, and that's not. And you're talking about Graham Harrell. That's what you're talking about.
Texas Tech.
Texas
Friday.
Tech, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But, man, I don't know if they're ready to be dealing with that. So I think
But they got a BJ in third, so. BJ Coleman.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Thank you for clarifying.
BJ's always first for me, but that chart is probably third.
Oh, here we go. But I'm going with Rodgers on this because he's holding this together. He's going to be the one holding this together.
But and great pick, but I'm gonna squash it because he was great a year ago, and he was great 15-1. They get to the playoffs, they can't run the football, boom, they're done. And it was to the team who ended up winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But if we could have beaten San we'd have hosted, we'd have gone. So, but the Giants did what needed to be done. They knew there was no semblance of running game, and they flustered him. They made him flustered, and he threw picks. He made mistakes.
Yep.
So, yes. Does he have to be great? Sure. But he was. He was great a year ago. And
Until he got to the
it didn't
playoffs,
matter.
he got hit a couple times.
Didn't matter.
And he wasn't great.
Right.
So, I think, for them to win it all, he has to be.
Well, yeah. And he's going to be. We know he is a bastard.
He wasn't on the
Douchebag, double check. I mean,
Yeah, but he wasn't.
both douches there. Done. Check. All right.
Yeah, but you just said it. He
What a
wasn't.
douchebag. Is that Lochte swimmer? What a fucking shithead he is.
Oh, the guy who won the gold?
Yeah, I mean, he's tweeting the Lochte Nation. What, you and your family, asshole? You suck.
That's what happened when
What
the
a,
nation
what a
gets involved.
douchebag. I want to root for our own swimmers, and I can't because he's a crumb. Anyway,
I had not heard that.
he's a. Well, they show the tweets like every. Michael Phelps is like, he's goofy ass. But now I'm rooting for him. I never rooted for a goofy bastard in my life. I am now.
Man, he's probably out there doing what you said Olympians do, man. He's probably out there groping and stroking, man.
I guess. I don't know. He's
And
smoking, man. Smoking.
Not breaststroking.
Taking on that Australian hurdler chick.
She didn't know. It's the beauty of that. She didn't qualify.
She didn't qualify.
Oh, she got yoked up after that? Oh, man.
Oh, man.
She's not even there.
Horrible.
But
That's a loss.
yeah,
That's why I haven't heard about it anymore.
So offensive MVP, sorry. The Packers.
Packers, I was going
you
with running back.
Right.
All right.
And defensively, for me, it's got to be Charles Woodson, just because his secondary was so poor, and he's the leader of it. So, and they've added 2 new safeties. I think he'll be one of them. They'll move another guy over. Tremont Williams, like I said, is a solid pro, but with all the changes, I guess new changes is redundant. But with all the changes in that,
as opposed to old changes.
in that unit, it'll be his call to duty. Surefire Hall of Famer, no doubt. So he'll earn his money this year. But for me, it's Woodson because the front 7 slightly overrated, but still solid enough. And they're not asked as much because the offense has always got you up a couple touchdowns. So it's Charles Woodson for me. This might be his final year. God, will he just go away? I love him, but it's time, sir.
Yeah, I keep going back to how again was this defense so bad
Right.
last year?
They're all names. We know everybody's name.
Right. Yes.
1 through 11.
Yeah.
And Doc Capers is a hell of a defensive coach.
Yeah, and And maybe
It's an anomaly. It's gotta be, right?
It's a quick strike offense. They score a ton of points, but as Art alluded to, they don't have a lot of time of possession.
That might be the.
So you got a lot of points and a lot of possessions.
Defense playing longer than
them. So a lot of reliance by the other team on the pass. How old did we say Wilson was? Older than you. That's
right. I can get it real quick, but yeah, keep talking. I'll spit it out there.
I mean, was Matthews hurt at all last year?
No, he's just a punk bitch.
Yeah, he only had 6 sacks last year. I mean,
he's garbage.
That's all he does.
They figured him out. He's 35.
Woodson is okay.
And he'll turn 36 in season early October.
I'll go with B.J. Raji for.
The right end, or
is he an end? Or I thought he was a tackle.
He is. Yeah. He's a nose tackle because they play a 3-4.
Yeah,
he's a big fella.
Yeah, I want him to.
Boston College, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want him to disrupt. He was a top 10 pick. Start playing like it.
And he has. It's just, again, his role is diminished because they're throwing the football on this team a lot. Because they even anticipate that this offense is gonna, be great.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm sure a lot of those yards didn't mean much. That's like, okay, the Packers are up 3 touchdowns in the fourth. Yeah, you're okay giving up a 80-yard drive at the end. But,
right.
All dump passes, except when you play Minnesota because they can't do that.
But that sort of situation doesn't drive you to finish dead last.
By a lot, I think. I remember.
Yeah, no, I think maybe that's actually pretty close to it.
Like 100 yards off passing.
Yeah, the two of them were, far and away the worst.
Like 4,800 yards passing is what they gave up. But yeah, the blowout factor is something to consider. But I mean, you can point to would you support the argument that the front seven didn't play well enough if the secondary was out there getting burned?
Yeah.
I mean, whenever this was happening. I mean, what do you say when a team's 15-1? What do you say about? I mean, how bad was the defense? Really?
Yeah, does defense really matter?
Was it or was it misleading because they were yoking people up and then they call the dogs off and then people do a bunch of dump passes and get 200 yards?
Turnovers, like Harold said, 31 picks. That's impressive.
So I mean, maybe you just put it back on Woodson again just to keep it going. I mean, from that standpoint, because 31 interceptions, that's a lot to ask.
Yeah.
Or anything close to that is a lot to ask.
Yeah. Woodson had 7. Pepra had 5, and then a whole bunch of guys 3 or 4. And I think it's going to be tough to replicate that. And so if they don't have the kind of pass D in the secondary, they're going to need some pressure up front. So yeah, I'll stick with B.J. Rodgers.
Yeah, and that's fair because I mean, if you look at the stats running wise, I mean they were middle of the road, 19th, as far as just rushing yards go. So they gave up some yards on the ground. So it's not like it was do what you like. I mean,
you would think because the teams like I think the Saints even where we were top 5 against the run because nobody ran on us because they didn't attempt to run on us because they were down. So so they're failing there too. I agree. Yeah, good point. I think that's what you were.
Yes.
Alluding to. Yeah.
So carry on.
So all right, on to the Chicago Bears. Offensively, I mean, it seems it's wide open. I guess.
Yeah. There's some.
For me, it's
some competitors here.
Right. For me, it's Forte. I mean, he's quietly become one of the most versatile backs. And when he went down after Week 11 last year, he had already had 1,000 yards rushing, 500 yards receiving, which put him on pace for about 1,450 on the ground and 725 in the air. So,
and the team fell apart after that.
They really did. That was the final domino. Yeah.
I mean, they lost 5 in a row. I'm
right.
not sure how many.
Yes.
Yeah, they kind of held up. Cutler went down a little bit, but when he went down, that was it. Yeah. So it's Forte for me on that offense, and then the line also, I guess, could put in there with that. But they're healthier, they're a year better, and so two-way product from that New Orleans. So.
Oh, okay.
Which a lot of people probably don't know.
No.
He's a Tulane guy, so he's from Destrehan or Karen Curl. So
there you go.
Local fella. If we did this in New Orleans, but we don't.
Who you got, Art? I'm still looking up stats.
I was really slanted on quarterbacks for this division. I mean, I'm really kind of concerned about this Forte situation. I don't know. I got to imagine if you have a guy that's 3/4 of your offense one year, why would you have jokes with him in the offseason? But I just watched this shit happen. So they had jokes with it.
And the Bears don't pay anybody.
Yeah,
but
so
they paid him.
Oh, but they paid Michael Bush. Shit. I mean, they gave Michael Bush his money before he got paid. So it's like, well,
right.
what do you got against this guy? Like, did he say something bad about somebody's mama in one of these meetings? Or, like, how could that go on as long as it did?
Because, well, it went on with every running back.
Because the Bears don't pay anybody.
They don't.
They don't like to, you know.
Yeah, but it's just, like...
He got paid, though.
He eventually got paid.
Yeah.
But,
8 per, I think.
Yeah, but it's just... It's wild that they would come off of money for it. Because I look at it from a situation, if you come off of money for a guy you don't even know that's played for another team, and you're talking about a dude that was your offense, and you got jokes with him, it's like, why have jokes with him?
What did Bush get? Couldn't have got much. He's not getting 8 per.
No, I don't think so.
No. Where is Bush?
Between most women's legs.
Good job.
Dun-dun-dun.
Here all week.
Hope that was captured.
It's a bad joke weekend, folks.
Yes, I mean, I'm just going off.
Oh, that reminds me. I got one.
Go ahead.
Where do prostitutes shop for groceries?
Go ahead.
Whole Foods.
Dun-dun-dun.
Oh yeah.
That cements it. That cements it.
Did someone
Bad joke
straight
weekend.
face share that?
No, I just came up with it.
Oh, Whole Foods. You were proud of yourself though when you did that.
Congratulatory
Damn
and yeah.
Yeah.
I can talk about.
Did you know that's my pre-podcast stop? The Whole Foods.
Yes, it is. To sample the beer
And the people.
No, I just people watch from the bar.
Yeah, the people
It's
who
good times.
Whole Foods, unofficial sponsor of Jonesin.
Well, we'll go with it.
Yeah.
Well, we do have a jingle coming up. Kevin, I got lyrics for you. Just got to get them to you, but we'll work on that.
Yes.
I don't
All
want
right. Well, you're right. They didn't give him much.
Were you still working on your?
No, I still like it for Cutler because when Cutler was carrying, they're 5-0 going into the bye, and man, Cutler was moving out of the way. Everybody was talking about Cutler. You getting your ass knocked off every play. What's going on? Man, I'm trying to win shit. Mm-hmm. And that was a big turn coming off of the season before where he was curled up on the bench with a jacket on, not moving.
That is a championship.
Yeah, he lost a lot of cred,
He did.
at least with me, because I already had him.
We already didn't like him, right?
And it's like, man, now you're going to do this? But he showed me something last year.
He's jumping to the top 10 for me, for sure. Or he's right at that mark, yeah.
I admit, I like the little sourpuss, you know.
And now they got him. Now they got him his favorite crazy weapon back. So he has a lot to prove still, even though now he's on better footing to prove it. Yeah. So this is probably one of the better offenses Chicago's ever seen overall, as far as pieces.
Second best running back maybe they've ever had, and best quarterback they've ever had probably, and receiver best they've ever had.
Yeah. And now you put that with the hodgepodge that they had before.
This
like,
is it.
A hodgepodge looks pretty good when you give them a main weapon.
And I hate them, so they're probably good.
But while Briggs and Urlacher still got legs,
Yeah, this is it.
Make it happen. Yeah.
So, but it's on Cutler. I mean, because if Cutler shows up and has like the jokes we make about him Cutler type season, and he shows up and has 23 interceptions, then we'll be laughing about how wrong we were about how many other games we said they're going to win.
He threw 26 picks in 2009.
Yeah.
And I got Cutler too as the most important offensive player because I'm assuming that Forte is going to show up and be healthy and play, and that they're going to use him properly. I mean, maybe that's a rash assumption, but let's assume that happens. Cutler can still lose the game for you if he reverts to his old form.
Because that year he was also the heavyweight champion of red zone interceptions. Mm-hmm. So those are the worst. I mean, you're down there. You're about to just lay on the ball and get 3 like Kubiak would. I mean, just do something. You end the way coming up with nothing. And you got a good defense too. So the guys on the defense are throwing helmets, tipping over water. Like, man, shit. Number 1, I got to be back out here. Number 2, y'all didn't score. Mm-hmm. Come on.
Yeah, that's just dumb. And it's maybe I had the sense at the time that he was kind of overestimating his own talent. You know, he's got a strong arm.
Yes.
But you can't
Very strong.
You can only thread the needle so many times.
Yes.
It's so.
You learn your arm.
Yeah, last season only 7 picks in 10 games. So that's a lot better, And then his subs in 6 games had 13 picks. Yeah, Haney and McCown. No, not that McCown. Not McNown. McCown. Yeah.
Mm.
But yeah,
I think Cutler's huge, and you see good Cutler, bad Cutler, and if they get something in between, or heaven forbid they get actual, I'm gonna throw this away, or I'm gonna dump it down Cutler instead of, oh, I got this, I'm gonna throw that shit anyway, Cutler.
Yeah.
Then they should win a hell of a lot of games, but it's gonna be on him.
Right.
Looking forward to that early season game against Green Bay because they're going to be going for the picks.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's his truest. That'd be his toughest test, probably all season. And on defense for the Bears, I've got to go to the secondary, and he's not a household name, but Charles Tillman. Mm-hmm. The front 7 is going to be solid, even with a likely lesser Urlacher, but even a lesser Urlacher, probably better than what a lot of teams are going forward with. Mm-hmm. But in a division with Green Bay and Detroit, who are going to throw the football, the secondary is a big deal because they're going to throw it. They're 2 of the best throwing teams in the NFL, and he's the senior guy there. So, and they were 28 overall in the league against the pass.
Yeah, that's not very Bears-like.
That's not. They can't contend if that's where they land again.
Yeah.
So the secondary needs to get picked up. So it's Charles Tillman for me. Now I'll leave it to y'all to click and search and figure it out.
Yeah, that's safe money. I can live with that. I was looking at the linebacker crew because I was kind of focused on them, thinking about how big they're going to be because with that line that they have, that line eats up a whole lot. So you, as a linebacker, if somebody gets there, they got to be there to make the tackle. So then you talk about, how good is Briggs still going to be? Is Urlacher going to be good to go still? And are they going to have the depth if they have any injuries to get it handled, or if Urlacher can't play the whole game in the situations where they want him out there?
Have they always? When did they move to a 3-4?
I don't know.
Did I miss something?
Was it when they got Peppers? No. Yeah, I thought Urlacher was always the middle linebacker.
Didn't they wait? Maybe they haven't. Never mind. Moving on. They didn't. It's good.
All right.
Okay. It's like,
our lives just got me screwed up. But sorry.
But yeah, that's my general thought. I was looking at the linebackers as a whole. I mean, because obviously Urlacher is the quarterback of that group, but how healthy is he going to be? And then you listen to Ray Lewis talk a lot, and he says, well, look, your body is important, and even though you lose a step, if you understand the game, you can make up for that step mentally in a lot of situations. So is he going to be good enough to make up for that step mentally with whatever his knee doesn't give him when he's coming back?
Right. He can still be a coach on the field if he's only getting 5 tackles a game.
Right.
It'd be underperformance for him by his standards, but he can still make that work. I think Tillman's an excellent choice because he just does everything for that team.
He does.
He tackles, he gets picks, he recovers fumbles. He's one of those defenders with a nose for the ball.
And he's his most senior player.
Yeah.
He's been his whole career there. So
I'll resist picking the UT alum Henry Milton, who had 7 sacks last year in limited action.
Never heard of him.
He was a failed running back at UT. He's like 260, 270 pounds. He came in there as a running back with speed. Big guy with speed. We're like, this could be awesome. He could be the best ever. Right? Yeah. But he just sucked as a running back. So they moved him to D-line, and that's where he made the NFL.
Well, there you go.
And he's starting lineup.
He is not the key to their season. I will go that far.
We'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's half the division. We move on to maybe not the lesser half, just the second half.
Detroit would disagree.
Some of it was lesser half, but yeah.
It's
another coach, he'll cry.
It's a worse city.
Right.
Somehow.
These next two. But on to Detroit. And I don't know that gone quarterback yet, but I have to here on go along with your theme. But he's proven now that if he stays healthy, they're a playoff team.
Yep.
Because he hadn't been able to stay healthy. Mm-hmm. So it's Matt Stafford for me. I think the running game, it's a bit of an anomaly because I think they do have talent there, like Keelan Williams, and they just don't use. And Kevin Smith is back, and he had a nice second half of the year.
He's going to start apparently.
No one on the team had 100 carries last year.
Right,
I believe that
because Kevin came too late. Right, but Keelan Williams is a good back. I'm biased, but he's a good back. And when he did play, he was good. He's always been good wherever he's been. I guess he just stalks coaches' wives. He's doing something. But
hopefully that happens.
Yeah, but Stafford's proven that with him they're a playoff team, and I'm guessing they still have my guy behind them, but.
Sean Hill?
Yeah, I'm guessing. And they do.
That's who it is.
Yeah, and God, if San Francisco still had him, they would have probably been in the Super Bowl last year. But I just like the guy more than most. But it's Matt Stafford for me on the offensive side of the ball. There's too many questions at running. I mean, Javid best.
He hadn't been cleared, and I don't think that would be
concussions.
We're not going to see him play much more.
But it's just so crazy considering when he went out last year that he's still not cleared. Like that's
because he's had so many and at an alarming rate.
Because I'm wondering
it's a real situation.
What's the conversation that's going to lead to him getting cleared? Like, what test is he going to magically pass that he hadn't already passed?
The next time you get hit, you'll die. Your decision.
Well,
basically,
with concussions, with people who've had, especially with people who've had a number of them. I mean,
and he's had bad.
You can have these symptoms last for over a year.
Yeah.
Well, and it's just such that,
and the symptoms are such that they don't crop up until you try to exert yourself. And you start exercising and you get a headache.
Oh, really?
That's what happens with a lot of people with concussions. So it's a frustrating cycle. It's like, okay, I got a headache, so I got to get on the couch for another 3 weeks and try it again.
I just thought it was forward-looking situation as if you get hit again kind of thing. Yeah. This is the damage that will be done.
Well, to try to
they can estimate
the risk of but I don't know it was in situational. Like if you exert yourself to this extent, like run 30 minutes, then you get the headaches, then it pops up.
Yeah.
Well, that's how.
That's the beauty of our body.
That's not like giving yourself another concussion. You're not really.
But it's signs.
Damage. But it's like your brain's not ready.
It helps. It helps. Yeah, doctors diagnose, I guess.
Yeah. Well, they're just playing the odds because if you can't deal with going to Memorial and running, if you can't deal with going to Memorial and running, and not just because of good-looking women out there everywhere, but because you just can't exert yourself. Now you're talking about getting in a football climate where, hey guys, you're gonna get hit every play because you're a running back. So
there will be contact. Maybe not in your head, but there'll be contact.
Like you're gonna be getting hit, and you're gonna be falling funny, and you're gonna fall hard, and you're gonna hit your head sometimes, and there's gonna be trauma all up around the upper part of your body. It seems like a go to the house situation, and I obviously the fighter side and the Americana, you got to give it a try type line of thinking. Okay, you wait till you know for sure. Yeah, I probably shouldn't be playing again. But it seems like he's already should be at that point. And he's still like, I'm trying, y'all.
And he went Cal guy, right?
Cal.
So I mean,
and he had a concussion.
He had the ugly one. He had the ugly one.
But what I'm going with there is probably a decent education going forward.
Jason Kidd did go to Cal, so.
All right, then I'm done. You killed my logical approach to that. So
Jason Kidd, he of the.
Never mind.
We're going to turn this team around 360 degrees.
All right, so.
Oh, horrible. Yeah.
So we all agree.
I like Stafford too. Yeah. I mean, I'm in the quarterback lane with him for obvious reasons. I mean, somebody has to throw it to Cal.
Right, and I teased it earlier and kind of mentioned it, but defense for the Lions, the secondary is a mess, sure. But it's so much a mess that it's for me. It's got to be Ndamukong Suh. His reputation might be almost as big a mess as that secondary.
His pending dominance, provided he can stay on the field, is enough to kind of cover for some of these issues, and they cycle out a lot of linemen.
He carried a Nebraska team as a defensive lineman, carried a Nebraska team almost to a Big 12 championship. It's a shitty conference, but it was. But
it's a top 50 conference, damn it.
One man at defensive tackle almost got him there. And it's translated in the NFL. He's a fine football player.
He was in the final Heisman vote, right?
He certainly was.
Yeah.
I think he was in the building.
Yeah, he was at the dinner.
So it's him for me.
That's fair. That's fair. It's hard to go against that because he, just like we talked about a couple teams ago, when you got a lineman that messes up a team's whole offense because you got to slant everything. Like, where is he? Okay, now my play has to be completely in the opposite direction of where this guy is, or hopefully somewhere where he can't still get to. And you have a player like that. I always remember this play where Ray Lewis, in the Super Bowl, Ray Lewis ran down Tiki Barber on a wide toss. And Ray started on one end.
Oh, beautiful.
He was on the opposite side and ran
11
down
years
Tiki.
younger Ray.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. He ran down Tiki, and it was like, well, this game is over. And that was in the first quarter. Like, there's no
They have
way.
no chance.
Like, they have no
They're not
chance.
scoring. They're not moving the ball.
Like, if Delphi doesn't fumble this and give up 2 touchdowns off of pick sixes or something, there's no way. I just watched something that I've been watching football all year, and I've been seeing physically impressive stuff, and I'm still like, holy crap when I see that. I think about that type of stuff, and that's win you some game type stuff. And when Sue wasn't stepping on people, he was doing the same type of things.
Right.
Like eating double teams and still getting contact on the quarterback or the ball handler. Like,
right.
What are you kidding me? It's 2 guys on this guy. What if you can't stop him with that? What are you going to stop him with?
So the indirect way of agreeing with Dominic Sue.
Yeah,
And
I am too.
To even tangent a little bit more, active interception leaders.
Woodson.
I thought so.
But
Let's see. Well, it's not Terrence Newman.
how dare you?
Active interception leaders.
I think Woodson's got 2 or so less than this fella. And we love him. He's a Jonesin.
Oh, do they?
And how I got to that. What defense were we just talking about? And then it's over.
Detroit.
You got it.
Oh,
No.
you talking about Ed?
Yeah, Ed Reed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's your active leader.
Edward, yeah.
So, yeah, I thought for sure that it would have been Charles just for longevity, but Ed had like 11. So did Charles. But
Reed's been around for a while too.
he has, but no, like 9 seasons, like not enough. 10 seasons, I don't know. Probably a little bit more, but
He wasn't on the Super Bowl team in 2000.
I don't know.
Maybe he wasn't.
I don't think so.
He may not be that old. Yeah.
He wasn't.
Yeah.
He's older, but
Not
he's
that
trying to. He wants a 3-year deal. Like he wants to play. So it's not that it's not his lack of ability. It's his lack of his neck and those things. Anyway, so now we get to clean slate. A great Ray Lewis story. I mean, we always like to talk about Ray on here because he might listen, and if we don't talk about him positively, he might stab us.
Yes.
So, but on to the last and least team of the division.
Yeah.
For me, I think it's easy in this offensively for Minnesota because he's so dynamic, so versatile in this offense. He,
I guess you're not talking about Peterson.
no, it's Percy Harvin. I mean, there's so many question marks. There's a question mark at quarterback, running back, even at receiver, his own position. For them to be successful at all offensively or as a team, he's got to play 16 games, do what he does when he plays in those games, and also in the kicking game where he is so big for them. It's Percy Harvin, and I don't think that y'all might disagree, but
I've given up on Percy Harvin being able to play 16 games.
I think he has though. But that's what makes him for this team to
Did
be
he last
successful. That's what he has. That's kind of the contingency on an MVP. You have to be out there.
He wasn't horrible last year as far as missing games.
Yeah.
But there's just no one else in that offense that's worth a shit.
But he came out of a couple of games.
Yeah,
And
you hear
know
me,
that's
AP?
bad. He came out of a couple of games, which was bad. And it's hard to know when you're not on the sideline. It's just when we're in our football glutton mode and we're trying to watch 10 games at once,
and especially when there's fantasy football involved. And I had Harvin last year, and that would be 30.
I would have drafted him.
Oh, I drafted him. I had the time of my life. I knew he was gonna be good.
It's a headache.
Yeah, he is a headache. But 87 catches, I'm fine with that. My head felt.
Nah.
But 87 catches for a guy that plays like 20 snaps a game. Like he didn't really start getting a lot of snaps till Peterson went down. And I don't understand what that is. And apparently that's the reason why he was upset when the OTA started. Like he came in like, all right, I'm here. I'm in shape. I've been eating salad and drinking green tea and I don't have headaches anymore or whatever he does. I'm ready to get used. Because we saw what happened when I get used. That, well, we're going to take it slow per se. We're going to, try to play our game and do
get your mouthpiece in, get your braces.
And we're going to run the ball first. And he was like, screw this. I saved y'all last year. We were screwed regardless. We were losing games with Peterson, if you want to remember. Like, the couple games we won, I was big in those games. Mm-hmm. Why don't I get used? So, yeah, I mean, those are the two to talk about. I mean, is Peterson going to be back? I mean, is he going to be healthy?
Not for the first. Yeah.
Yeah, he's claiming he's going to be ready for week 1, but the team's...
Like, why would you force? He's young enough. Why would you force him back? Yeah. And for what? For what? A team that's got no chance to finish anything less than 4th in the division.
Yeah. Now, Jerome Simpson is free. He's already done his 15 days.
He will have done his time, yes.
He did he's supposed to do like a 15-day, like a vacation over there.
Right. So people want to hate on the quarterback, but they just got no receivers either. So...
Yeah, so...
I like Christian Ponder out of Florida State. And
I kind of had him as my key to their offense.
Yeah, I mean...
Because Harvin, I don't know how he generated those stats last year, but...
He's a monster.
I would expect him to
He's
do
a very versatile... When Tebow won the Heisman, Harvin should have won the Heisman. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I said it. Y'all can all kiss my ass, you 5 listeners. But, I mean, he was by far their biggest player in that season. He did everything. Like he does for Minnesota. Yeah. He does everything. Yeah. He does line up at running back. He does line up at receiver. Yeah. He does return kicks. Oh, here's a punt. I'll grab it. He'll return that. He's the biggest part.
He's definitely their MVP. But
No.
Thinking about interesting offensive players or questions.
No, that's fair.
Somebody that needs to do better in order to do better than 4.
And I think Ponder's better than people think.
Yeah. Ponder's where the room for improvement is.
Yeah, but 87 catches, 967 yards, 6 touchdowns. He had 2 rushing touchdowns too. Mm-hmm. Just come on, 300 yards rushing.
And they know he's the only viable. He was when Peterson went down. He was the only viable weapon on offense, and he was still produced.
Yeah,
he's a hell of a football player.
So imagine if they used him.
Right, it's right. Imagine if they had good management and coaching. But So Ponder for you. Mm-hmm. Do you agree with the Harvin?
Yeah.
Defensively, again, that defense is absolutely.
Yeah.
And Jared Allen's obvious, but we know what we'll get out of him.
Do we?
So I'm going with the secondary again because of the passing game, even though Allen's going to help that. But, God, Jared Allen's the only person I've ever heard say that he doesn't like New Orleans. Who doesn't?
I think Ditka said that.
As big of a...
Or he said he preferred Chicago, which is worse.
Well, that's insane.
Well, may he die in peace.
I like being cold.
But Chris Carr, for me, the same thing with Tillman. Just a guy in the secondary. He's been in the league longer. He was better. He had a decent career in Tennessee and Baltimore. He was surrounded by better, though. But with these offenses, the pass-heavy offenses, the secondary has to be at least decent.
Yeah.
And I know pass rushing, Jared Allen would conform to that a little bit.
Yeah, but he had 22 sacks last year, and they still gave up a shitload.
Exactly. So something has to be fixed.
Let's look elsewhere for some.
So I'm going with Chris Carr as cornerback.
I can live with that.
I'll go with Cedric Griffin, the UT connection.
Not bad.
Safety.
But, is he still there?
Well, wait, no.
Is he?
No. Well, he's not. He's not on this.
Yeah, I don't think he's still there.
Oh no, where'd he go?
I don't think he was still there.
Oh.
He's old, isn't he?
Cedric Griffin. Yeah, he is gone.
Yeah. That's why I asked.
I gotta look that up now. Well, he's clearly not the key to Minnesota's defense.
Maybe Kansas City somewhere.
Maybe
wherever he ended up. I don't know.
Where'd you go, Cedric?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I don't know.
I'll look it up. Go ahead.
Who you have a?
Yeah. No, I was going to take the Jared Allen angle. I mean, that team was just so bad last year in so many different ways.
But he wasn't.
He wasn't. I mean, he didn't start off amazing, but yeah, he ended up in a really
22 sacks. Yeah.
Good place overall.
Griffin went to the Redskins.
Oops.
And he's 29.
Right, so, man,
Oldish.
he could have retired.
Could have retired.
I would love to at 29.
That's an option for them at least.
What were we saying?
Are we still going?
Yeah, we're still on, I think.
Oh, all
I
right.
don't think you paused it. Did you pause it?
No.
Oh.
You should have. I got to pee.
Are you sure?
Jared Allen, yeah, whatever.
You had Allen? Yeah. That's
But no, this defense is
22 sacks. Jeez.
yeah, and they're like, and weirdly enough, as far as giving up yards on passing and offense and passing and running, they're not that bad. Like you would think they'd be like, oh, they gave up all these yards, they gave up all this. They were 22nd in passing yards that they gave up.
It's not bad in that division.
Yeah, it's just, but I guess the situation you have is when your offense generates nothing, it's hard for you to win games.
Yeah.
It just is. I mean, let's see. Can I lean on time possession? Yeah, time possession. 28.
28 in time possession.
28 the time of possession. Less than half a game. So you're talking about a team that's just not keeping the ball at all. And then when you look at them also from, let's see, third down, I would assume they didn't stay on the field often either.
No,
so,
that's a pretty bad percentage I see there. It's 30-something.
So, yeah.
38.
If you get 2 out of 5, you probably lead. Five. If you get half, you lead.
Yeah, half would definitely do it, but like 5.
Oh well, Saints 57%. So, yikes, 2/3.
That's
Flavor bullshit.
Well, 3/5.
4/7.
Yikes. Ooh, that's even better. I need those glasses. But yeah, it's just
They don't have to see reality better.
it's a whole lot of bad.
Are they rose-colored?
Yeah. Well, they were middle of the road, third down. But
Yeah, it just didn't get a lot of yards.
Well, to sum up, fuck Jared Allen. He's this punk piece of shit.
it's good to know that you moved on and you're not worried about what he thinks in New Orleans because he's clearly wrong and in the minority.
Well, no, he wanted to give it a chance. He just stays at the airport. Like, or stays at the hotel by the airport. It's like you haven't run enough that... Who hates New Orleans? Like, come on. Especially him. He's a scumbag, debaucherous douchebag. I'm sorry you can't hunt in a city, but it was one of two cities he couldn't...
You can hunt elsewhere in Louisiana.
Right.
It's sportsman's paradise.
Right. That's our phrase. I mean, it's on the freaking license plates.
Does he not have a car? Or...
He's just a dumb shit. I don't know. I don't
find my way out of the city.
Whatever. So did we get to our...
Yeah. I think we're good there.
All right. So did you find your guy?
Oh,
it's not
on defense. No,
Yeah.
Griffin went to Washington.
But I knew that.
So I'll just go with the whole day of secondary.
Yeah, Chris Carr. All right.
They only had 8 picks last year.
Right. Which is bad. Yeah. All right. So number 10 on our list, top 11. We do it every week as well, in every installment. Top player at each position in the division, fantasy-wise. I mean, I would think I think a lot of these will agree wholeheartedly, but there's arguments for a lot of other players at each position. So, I mean, I'll take Rodgers mainly because I think his rushing yards and TD touchdowns will separate him from Stafford and Cutler, and certainly Christian Potter.
Well, and throws a shitload of touchdowns, but I guess so does Stafford had 41 last year.
Right, but Rodgers runs for like 6 to 8 or whatever a year. That's why I put him ahead.
Yeah, I got Rodgers too.
Yeah.
Until somebody else shows us. I mean, Stafford had a big season last year, but I'm kind of wary of a bit of a step back.
Yeah.
You know, I guess it wouldn't be a sophomore slump because that was his third season. But,
at least.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a big season for him, and defenses will be trying to keep him contained this year. So yeah, Rodgers.
Quarterback, all right. Fantasy.
Yeah, if I get cute, I would say Stafford, but smart money is on Rodgers.
Again, I think his rushing yards, and he rushes for touchdowns too. Mm-hmm. He's their best running back. I mean, I can't say that enough. He probably is, sadly.
Yeah, I'll just play it cute now, and since we're being recorded, I'll take Stafford.
Okay.
All right.
And running back is also kind of well in this division.
I'm going Forte because I assume he's
healthy.
I'm assuming he's going to be healthy.
Yep.
The only thing, obviously, is he'll lose a couple of third and shorts, and if they get all the way down there, he'll lose a couple 1 yard fall on the ground touchdowns.
And plus, who else you get? Well, his red zone productivity is absolutely the worst of any running back of all time. But who else are you going to take in this division?
Right.
Who else? There's no one else.
It's either him or Peterson,
and Peterson's going to miss.
I'm not buying.
He's not starting this season. He's not.
You think he's going to be PUP flat out, or you think he's just going to be there and they're going to pull it like what they did with Foster last year? Used to, like he's going to miss he might play a game, then miss a couple games, and then eventually they'll just go ahead and put him out there. You think it might be one of those things?
They're talking PUP with Peterson.
They're talking beginning of the season, 6-week PUP.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So for a team that's going to be bad, but I don't know why.
But this team's not going to contend for anything.
Yeah.
Other than the first overall pick. I mean, seriously.
And most sacks by a crappy defense.
Yeah, fuck Jared Allen. All right, moving on
from the airport
with the receiver done.
Receiver?
Yeah, we're really.
We don't have much to say.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You mean done as in. Doesn't require discussion.
No.
Okay, I thought you meant.
And not to knock Greg Jennings, but
no.
But he's got other fellows around him that will
eat his.
Right.
Jordy Nelson will take his
somehow.
Jordy Nelson might have about a year.
Yeah, Jordy Nelson.
I think he did last year.
He did last year.
Yeah.
So
him and his 60-yard touchdowns.
So it's Megatron and
it's
and Brandon Marshall again in the conversation.
Even though Megatron's on the cover of Madden.
Ooh. I don't know I'm making jokes about Marshall living on a flat.
All right, let's rip 3 pieces of paper. We'll each take one of them, and then winner you bought a sake bomb that day. But
I'll go with Jordy Nelson since we're.
It's that sexy.
Since we're being.
It's sexy though. It's sexy.
Yeah.
I'm going.
I'll take Marshall because I've always backed him. I've always.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Just depends on how bad. Oh, I'm stuck with Megatron now.
Well,
I'll take it.
No, I'm saying
it's
worth you're stuck with.
This Madden cover thing.
It's real.
It's real. It's just a matter of how badly it goes.
Correct leg break.
Yeah, 75 catches and 1,000 yards and
it's
8
like,
touchdowns. We might be like, oh, Madden jinx, it happened again.
Because he'll miss 2 games. Yeah.
I'll take him if you want Marshall, but I've always openly backed Marshall. So.
Yeah, but I don't know what his medication schedule is at all, so I don't know. Let's go Megatron and let's get out here. Yeah,
that's his medication.
And tight end, I mean, Finley's the obvious choice.
Mm-hmm.
But only because the other teams in the division kind of split the duties. I mean, if you combine Pettigrew and Scheffler's productivity,
it
was dwarf. I mean,
that's a good
Finley's dwarf.
4 foot tall.
Right. So that's why I wish fantasy would move more towards units. You know, you draft tight ends for this team,
right?
Because Detroit's is a nice combo. Even in Minnesota with John Carlson and Kyle Rudolph. That's a nice. Kyle Rudolph was a high draft pick out of Notre Dame, and then we all know John Carlson from his days in Seattle and such. And so, Finley's the obvious choice, but just because you can't draft units, you know.
Right.
So it's Finley for me.
I had Finley, but now I'm doing some. I did that off top, thinking, well, I really don't know who I like there, but I'm going with Pettigrew.
That's fair.
I'm going with Pettigrew. I mean, because
But Scheffler eats his touchdowns a little bit.
He eats his touchdowns. Pettigrew had 5 touchdowns last year.
Well, and Scheffler had like 2. But tight end 7 is
but if you do,
I get teased about this. I say sorting a list. When you go out there and you sort a list, you make a list of receptions for tight ends, which I just did right now, and it's Jimmy Graham, Gronk, and
Pedigree.
Right, that's what I'm saying. No, that's why I mentioned all those guys after Finley because he'll have a 4-touchdown game, which is
he'll have a random 4-touchdown game, but there's games where he doesn't exist.
Right, and he's not the best tight end on this list. He's just the most freakish athletic.
Yeah, but you know how fantasy works. You'd rather have a dude that's going to get you 5 catches and 70 yards every week.
No, if you get 7 points out of your tight end, effing right.
You'd rather that than count on him to lose you 3 weeks and win you 1 with the unnecessary 4-touchdown week.
I totally agree.
And to me, Finley is the people who had him last year were cussing the whole year, and then if they got cute too early, they even missed the game where he scored 3 or 4 touchdowns. Because they're like, man, I ain't starting to do it, man, fuck this. And then you don't start him and you watch him get like 3 accidental touchdowns for no reason at all. And he only had like 3 or 4 catches that game or something. I think it's going to be pedigree.
Scheffler had 6 touchdowns last year.
See?
Yeah.
He eats them.
Yeah.
He eats them. I'm telling you, that unit is the way to go.
Only 26 catches.
But he was the team. He ate the touchdowns. That's right. Thank you.
Yeah.
And for that reason, I got to go with Finley. I mean, he's the most talented and, also the most frustrating.
Yeah.
I do like pedigree, but, if it's draft day and they're both there, I'm taking Finley.
Yeah. I think pedigree has value. I think pedigree.
And if you're in the 7th round, you're wondering why Finley's still there.
But yeah, I mean, I just feel like pedigree is like a low budget Gates. Like people don't talk about him, and he just had 80 catches, and his name still doesn't come up a lot.
For me, he's kind of like what's the cat in Cincinnati?
Gresham.
Yeah, they're like the same guy. For me.
Yeah, but Detroit's gonna throw.
But it's positive either way. These are compliments. It's not me dogging him.
Yeah.
But Scheffler eats those touchdowns.
He's gonna eat a couple of those touchdowns.
And he's got a 33% rate of catch to touchdown. I mean,
almost 25%.
Yeah, so
that's a lot of.
So yeah, but this is when it gets interesting. It's defense. I mean, but I'm going with Chicago just because their history of luck. and has to return kicks and all that stuff.
Yikes.
This is a tough one.
Yeah.
But Harvin makes you consider Minnesota.
No.
And interceptions make you consider Green Bay, but they're not going to.
I just don't think
you can't do that 2 years in a row. And then
I'm just going to assume that Sue is going to not step on anybody, and they're going to get a bunch of sacks and a lot of pressure. Turnovers.
Kyle Van Der Bosch he gets after it.
Yeah. I can see that defense being close to what it needs to be, and something will happen. They'll end up not winning anything. But
that's the key.
I think they have a good. I mean, some random BS will happen. Somebody will get like Megatron, the Madden curse will get him like week 16 or something. But that defense, I think, is going to be pretty stellar.
Yeah, I'm with Detroit too.
Yep.
Like that.
Really?
That front line is where it starts. And
Well, how many sacks did they have last year?
How many sacks did Detroit have?
This is what y'all are basing your pick on. You should know this.
No, I didn't say they necessarily get sacks, just that they get pressure.
But who's in the secondary to intercept the ball? The secondary is a disaster.
Kind of.
Kind of?
Yes.
Can we name it? I couldn't name anybody
No.
before I had to look it up.
No. That's a tough one.
Chris Carr, only because he played in Tennessee and Baltimore prior.
It's just this is the defense I'm most confident about having a better season.
Chicago's going to be one of the top 5 drafted. Should, because they're just lucky. They're just lucky. They get bullshit every goddamn year. Chicago.
Good to know you.
So we're on sacks for Detroit.
Detroit, they were 10th in the league. They had 41.
That's a lot. That's nice. 10th in the league overall.
Yeah, but it was a lot of people right around the same place. Minnesota and Philly both had 50.
Okay.
So that's kind of let you know how far off the pace they were.
And in your league, that's half a point, 1 point.
I think it's a point apiece.
Point. Sacks.
Yeah, it's 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a point.
Because they're not holding anybody under 10. They're not holding anybody under 20. They're not,
True.
Where you get your fantasy points.
Yeah.
It's not the best defense. It's fantasy defense.
But look, 21 interceptions, 41 sacks, 5 touchdowns.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Because and they did. What was that week? When they, I guess it was probably San Francisco. They lost, but they had some nice points that week. So no, it's there you go. You formed it.
Yeah.
an argument. We go with 31 picks, how many
21.
sacks.
Yeah.
So if it's duplicated going forward. But I'm talking about Green Bay, so I'm not even talking about the Bears. The Bears just consistently over the years. And if I pick them, maybe they'll suck. So, and this might be right. This might be the most interesting position. Or
when in doubt, I'll take the team that's playing indoors more often.
right, the kicker. But this is kicker of this group, and there's three of these guys are draftable, to be honest, and the fourth might be just because of the indoor thing. I'll go with Crosby because they're going to score a lot, and he's an above average kicker, to be honest.
Yeah.
At least he's an above average kicker.
Yeah.
So I take him, but you're right, Robbie Gould has always been. They don't draft a guy, but he's top 10 usually points, even though he kicks in Chicago. But the offense struggles at times, and he makes the right, but he makes those long kicks.
He makes them, yeah.
And in Hanson and Detroit indoors, and Detroit's going to score. We know that.
Yeah, and weirdly enough, I mean, you look field goal wise where they were last year. Detroit was right in the middle. I mean, so it wasn't like they were amazing in that.
They
regard.
perfected their red zone a little bit with Scheffler and those two tight ends they utilize, and you always throw up to Calvin.
Too efficient.
Right.
And it may be a little bit too good, but
Right.
that's still who I'll just defy it and go with that.
It's Crosby for me because even this one's add up.
Yeah.
One.
If you get 8 of them,
Right.
that's pretty good.
And they tend to have those moments. Stephon?
Yeah, I'll take Crosby.
Yeah, field goal wise, they were in the same place last year with Detroit, 24.
Yeah.
But let's see.
But Gould always finds a way to.
They had 28.
And it
makes more sense that they stalled too.
Look at plus 50. Like his leg strength for him he's one of the more underrated players in the league. Because why would we talk about kickers? But,
Yeah, if he didn't kick in Chicago,
right. No, I
I'd
choose
take
him.
him first. But yeah,
Right. That is definitely a reason to not.
right.
I agree. I mean, seriously, not because of fuck Chicago, but because of it's the Windy City, right? I mean, there's something to that. He still makes them, but all these offenses are taking a turn for the best. And then the one that sucks is in a dome, but getting the field goal range is going to be difficult for this Minnesota offense.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty wild. Think about it. I mean, 68 extra points maybe.
Right,
Green Bay.
Right, that's what I'm saying. And those ones add up.
And you'd be shocked at who's second and third, obviously.
Probably not.
Okay, well,
New England and New Orleans?
Yeah.
So it would be shocked.
Reversed.
Not shocked.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, no, yeah.
Sarcasm.
Right. I know.
But fourth is Detroit.
Jason Hanson.
Nice. See, that's what I'm saying. So Hanson should be in the mix.
Yeah.
These are all with only 10 kickers in your league or 12, whatever format. They should all be drafted. That's a note
From this division.
Yes, they should all be drafted. Other than Longwell in Minnesota, I guess he's still
Yeah.
Because why would you do that?
right. Because
Well, the
there
week
might be
where
some
they-
weeks where he doesn't even swing his leg.
They score 7 points.
Right.
Or they score that.
Well, they'll
late
kick that
touchdown
one open and
they
kick
got
off,
to
yeah.
too. Yeah. Right. I guess he's got to kick once.
At some point.
Right. So I'm going with Crosby.
I'm going with Crosby.
I'm going with Hanson.
All right, and that's breaking it down that way. It's a couple less extra points, so makes sense. They're still scoring.
Yep.
On to the-
Not a couple less, way less, but they were fourth.
Right,
And is Green Bay they're gonna score a lot, but are they gonna score as much as they scored last year?
right.
Probably.
No, that's fair. No, but I mean, there's some more question marks there.
Yeah.
As the league, like you said, it's a copycat league. The league catches up to what they're trying to do.
But that schedule this year, my goodness.
It's really,
As we go into that.
Right, and it's just where we go into it. Top 11.
I'm
Nice.
man,
Nice.
give me the segue
Nice.
credit over here tonight, man. I'm
I
trying.
said nice. I said nice. I said nice.
I'm trying to set these up.
I said nice. The final standings of the division. So they play the NFC West and the AFC
South.
South. So you're looking at conceivably,
Victory.
teams that 3 of these teams are better than 6 of. Right.
What? Say that again. You lost me.
So, of these 2 divisions,
glasses,
conceivably 3 of these teams are better than 6 of these.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Because San Francisco and Houston have an argument.
Yes.
In that.
Yes.
Of these teams.
They can hang.
Right. So, then 3 of these. So, Minnesota's losing all of them. Probably. Maybe. Well, no, that's not even true. That's not even true. Right. So, going forward.
The Jaguars.
They're not.
So, I guess we'll go. I don't even remember how we've done this in the past.
Let's go.
We all agree with number 4.
Yeah.
For Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Minnesota 4th.
How many games are we gonna step out there and give them a number of games?
We've talked about it, and we've kind of alluded, decently to that. But I think it'll be the final weekend that we do actually assign, like we did at Canelli's that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do actually assign wins and make sure it totals up.
Yeah.
But on a whim.
No,
we can now. We can now.
Yes.
Minnesota, I think I had 4.
I got them 2-4.
Right, I had to. Yeah, it took work, but yeah,
I'm sure I was under whatever Vegas said, which was at least 5.
it was 5.
Yeah.
Which we need to go and put money on some of this shit.
Yeah.
Before
they fix it.
Right. Before it gets laid so much that it does veer the other direction. Yes.
Yeah, but we 4 and 12 is about right. And I had to struggle to get them to 12, but maybe they show up and accidentally win a couple of these games. They have some winnable games in here. I just don't think they're actually going to win.
Dead last.
Dead.
Comfortably in the cellar.
Yes.
So you have 0?
4.
Okay.
0.
Well,
Higher.
I don't know if I think Cleveland's going to be better than people think, but yeah, I think they'll win more than Cleveland will win more than 4. And this is the real conversation, I think, for us. It's 2 and 3, and I think they're going to win the same amount of games. It's gonna come down to tiebreakers. It's going to come down to head to head, which I think they'll split. It'll come down to NFC record, and then maybe a 4th, because I think one of these teams are going to make the playoffs, and one of them may not because of that. We haven't gotten that far in our progression of the league going forward. Our prognostication of it.
Nice.
But
okay.
Look,
I'll put Chicago 2, Detroit 3.
That's where I'm at because
Same 10 wins, 10 or 11 wins,
Okay.
10 or 11. But some tiebreakers, Chicago somehow wins.
because they're lucky.
Exactly.
You got them there too, Art?
That's where I have it.
Yeah. I got Chicago by a game over Detroit.
That's kind of where we are.
I think karma is a bitch, and people are going to be gunning for Detroit. Their behavior last year, and I like the signing of Marshall for Chicago. A much needed element to the offense, and they got 4 paid.
And it's a more balanced team offensively.
So the way the breaks tend to roll in the NFL is if they broke your way last year, then they probably won't this year. And vice versa. So.
Unless it's Chicago or
Unless it's Chicago, yeah.
Or Pittsburgh, because they're both.
So I got Chicago a little ahead of Detroit. Maybe 10-9. In terms of wins.
So I guess I was we did it. We could have gone 4 up to 1 because I guess we did agree.
That leaves.
But how close are those 2 teams to Green Bay in this division?
I don't think Green Bay's going to go 15-1 again.
No, I agree. But the schedule is set for that.
It could be like 13.
This is a 12-4 schedule. I think
the toughest game I think is us, but it's at home. And by us, I mean the Saints. But it's in Green Bay, so
yeah.
I mean, they got week 1 49ers. They got at Giants week 12 on what looks to be a Sunday night.
So maybe the toughest game is at New York.
Yeah.
Because it's on the road.
They got Lions in December, but that's outside on a Sunday night. And then they end at home against Titans and at Minnesota.
Right.
Indoors.
I tried.
So if there's if there's any concern about when
I tried to get him to
they can take
11.
care of it
I
there.
tried to get him to 11.
Down to
but
11?
12 was right, exactly. But 12 was
This
more
feels
fair.
like 13 to me.
right. It was more.
It's
Yeah.
12 or 13, but I mean,
But they're not built. It's the same thing why the Patriots haven't won a Super Bowl in 10 years, 11 years, whatever it's been.
8. But go ahead.
Whatever. But they don't. They're built for the regular season. But well, of course, I'm gonna
Dog was
rile them
Turn
up.
point.
But they're not built for playoff football. You have to have some kind of running game. You
Or
have
at least
to.
I don't
A fake,
don't
yeah.
make me
Just
run it.
Fake it like you have it. And
Don't-
they don't.
don't make me run it.
And it's gonna bite them in the ass again. We'll get to that going forward. We will. And
yeah.
So
I
you
mean,
agree they'll have a good regular season record? But
they certainly will.
Yeah.
Certainly. I said I had to like fake losses to get them to 11, but the 12
Yeah.
and 13 is very, very real.
They got. I mean,
Right. I mean,
Jacksonville to the top.
yeah, maybe Detroit shows up to, no. So, yeah.
I mean, they got 2.
12 and 13 is totally realistic because their defense can't be worse.
Yes.
But they can also not expect 31 interceptions. So 15 was nice, and the one, I don't even remember the one. It was Kansas City, and I was like 10-3. So that blueprint has been spread throughout the league of how to beat them.
Yeah.
And that was right at the end of the year. That's what the Giants used. The Giants had the same personnel. Boom, it worked. But half the league also has that kind of personnel. So
Yeah.
maybe we're getting too greedy with their wins, but
Yeah, because the first month is going to be really
right, we'll see what
interesting.
they do going forward.
And you know how we talked about last week, if you got a nice schedule starting off and you get to a 4-1 or a 5-1,
that's not nice.
you get a funny look on your face like, hey, we're 5-1. Let's start kicking in people's ass. Yeah. But now
San Francisco could punch you in the face,
Yeah.
literally, that
Yeah.
week one.
they're talking about
Literally.
week 1 San
Do they have the
Francisco.
great-
Ooh, let's get to work on that. So they got week 1 49ers, week 2 Bears, week 3 at Seattle. But that's at
But
Seattle.
Seattle's going to be physical.
And that's
this year,
at
Yeah.
Seattle.
Matt
And-
Flynn, we've talked about that.
And that's what that's going to be.
Yeah.
And then you got end of September with the Saints.
Mm.
And they could come out of that with a straight face. 0-4 isn't outrageous.
No.
2-2 might be what that is.
Right. You
That
can
could
make
be-
arguments. Yeah.
That could be a real 2-2
Right.
situation.
If they get out,
and a
if they
whole
get to that
bunch of
4-0, then sure.
Yeah, then it's
They're
over.
battle tested in this.
Because
They're
if
care about the football.
yeah, if they're 4-0, it's curtains. Because
Yeah.
the second month is at Colts, at Texans, at Rams, and then home Jags, home Cardinals.
That's when the cake eating is
So
involved.
that cakeness is all in a row. Because then they got the
nice and fluffy.
then the week 10 bye, and then after that they got Minnesota twice, and then everything else is divisional. I mean, well, everything else is real. So this could go wrong, but I doubt it will because they're damn good. But
Right.
this schedule is this is a very hard, easy schedule, if you get what I mean, because the way the games are laid out.
Right.
Like they get one super cake month, and then everything else. There's some real ass games in here, back to back.
Right. No, certainly.
And then when they come off the bye, at Lions, at Giants,
That's not cake either.
I'm saying that's
Right,
very
exactly.
you go with the cake month. You get used to chilling. You go on a bye, ultra chilling. Then you come back and get stepped on and spit on and cussed at by coaches.
And
at Lions.
Greg Jennings has already personally attacked Detroit,
Yes,
the Lions, so they're going to be gunning, literally.
and they're gonna be waiting.
Literally gunning.
Yeah.
Snipers and shit. But,
Yeah, so they got Lions twice in 4 weeks.
right.
I mean, at Giants, if that's the Giants' month to beat everybody and be good, oops. But they got Minnesota twice, so we'll see.
All right, well, we do go along on these things, but if you value intelligence at all, you listen to it. I should have preempted it with that, but another big word. But that's it for our top 11 for this week. NFC North, if you will. And it's also my last name, so we should go long. But enjoy, and we'll see you for next week's preview which eludes me. Is it the?
Let's see. It's AFC. You want to do East or South?
Let's do. What would we do? NFC?
I would do NFC. Yeah.
Oh, well, don't do that the week I'm not going to be here.
Right. That's why I was. Yeah. So I'm thinking that's why we're going to bring Kevin in. Right? So,
We'll bring him in for AFC South.
But no, but that's a big. That's the big. Right. Executive decision. But we'll get all your views. We'll get sound bites. We'll get. Well, it's not. Well, yeah. Right. So, all right, that's it. Next week, likely. I haven't decided yet. We'll figure it out.
Listen to the podcast.
Just listen to it.
Yeah, you have to hear it to
Don't forget the podcast.
know it.